A divine warning by the prophet for the nations. The citizens of all free national governments, according to the national constitution, are all of one
Everybody,
family
let me
bearing
go, okay? As soon as I drop this off.
one free national name. Those who fail to recognize the free national name of their constitutional government are classified as undesirables and are subject to all.
All right, one
Okay.
second. Yeah, it's a little, it's like staticky.
Little
Oh,
staticky.
okay.
Yeah. So I'll just read.
I'll just pass on it for the data.
Yeah, no, it's all good. I don't know. I'm not sure how to troubleshoot, but it's all good.
Okay.
It's all good. The divine warning by the prophet for the nations. The citizens of all free national governments, according to their national constitution, are of one family bearing one free national name. Those who fail to recognize the free national name of their constitutional government are classed as undesirable and are subject to all inferior names and abuses and mistreatments that citizens care to bestow upon them. And it is a sin for any group of people to violate the national constitutional laws of a free national government and cling to the names and principles that allude to slavery. I, the prophet, was prepared by the great God Allah to warn my people to repent from their sinful ways and go back to that state of mind of their forefathers, divine and national principles, that they will be law abiders and receive their divine right as citizens, according to their free national constitution that was prepared for all free national beings. They are to claim their own free national name and religion. There is but one issue for them to be recognized by this government and the earth, and it comes only through the connection of the Moorish Divine and National Movement, which is incorporated in this government and recognized by all other nations of the world. And through it, they and their children can receive their divine rights unmolested by other citizens, that they can cast a free national ballot at the polls. Under the free national constitution of the United States is not under a granted privilege, as has been the existing condition for many generations. You who doubt whether I, the prophet, and my principles are right for the redemption of my people, go to those who know law in the city hall and among the officials in your government and ask them under an intelligent tone, and they will be glad to render you a favorable reply, for they are glad to see me bring you out of darkness into light. Money doesn't make the man. It is free national standards and power that make a man. The wealth of all national governments, gold and silver and commerce, belong to the citizens alone. And without your national citizenship by name and principles, you have no true wealth. And I am hereby calling on all true citizens that stand for a national free government and the enforcement of the Constitution to help me in my great missionary work, because I need all support from all true American citizens of the United States of America. Help me to save my people who have fallen from the constitutional laws of government. I am depending on your support to get them back to the constitutional fold again, that they will learn to love instead of hate and will live according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Supporting our national constitution, the United States of America. I love my people and I desire their unity and mine back to their own divine standard, because by day they have been violating the national and constitutional laws of their government by claiming names and principles that are unconstitutional. If Italians, Greeks, English, Chinese, Japanese, Turks, and Arabians are forced to proclaim their free national name and religion before the constitutional government of the United States of America, it is no more than right that the law should be enforced upon all other American citizens alike. In all other governments, when a man is born and raised there and asks for his national descent name, and if he fails to give it, he is misused, imprisoned, or exiled. Any group of people that fail to answer up to the constitutional standards of law by name and principles, because to be a citizen of any government, you must claim your national descent name, because they place their trust upon issues and names formed by their forefathers. The word Negro alludes in the Latin language to the word nigger, as the same as the word color alludes to anything that is painted, varnished, and dyed. And every nation must bear a national descent name of their forefathers, because honoring thy fathers and thy mothers, your days will be lengthened upon the earth. These names have never been recognized by any true American citizen of this day. Through your free national name, you are known and recognized by all nations of the earth that are recognized by said national government in which they live. The 14th and 15th Amendment brought the North and South in unit, placing the Southerners, who were at that time without power, with a constitutional body of power. And at that time, 1865, the Free National Constitution, or law, that was enforced since 1774, declared all men equal and free. And if all men are declared by the Free National Constitution to be free and equal, since that Constitution has never been changed, there is no need for the application of the 14th and 15th Amendment for the salvation of our people and citizens. So, there isn't but one supreme issue for my people to use to redeem that which was lost, and that is through the above statements. Then the lion and the lamb can lie down together in yonder hills, and neither will be harmed, because love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice will be reigning in this land. In those days, the United States will be one of the greatest civilized and prosperous governments of the world. But if the above principles are not carried out by the citizens and my people of this government, the worst is yet to come, because the great God of the universe is not pleased with the works that are being performed in North America by my people. And this great sin must be removed from the land to save it from enormous earthquakes, diseases, etc. And I, the prophet, do hereby believe that this administration of the government being more wisely prepared by more genius citizens that believe in their free national constitution and laws, and through the help of such classes of citizens, I, the prophet, truly believe that my people will find the true and divine way of their forefathers and learn to stop serving carnal customs and merely ideas of man that have never done them any good, but have always harmed them. So I, the prophet, am hereby calling aloud with a divine plea to all true American citizens to help me to remove this great sin, which has been committed and is being practiced by my people in the United States of America, because they know it is not the true and divine way, and without understanding, they have fallen from the true light into utter darkness of sin. And there is not a nation on earth today that will recognize them socially, religiously, politically, or economically, etc. In their present condition of their endeavorment, in which they themselves try to force upon a civilized world. They will not refrain from their sinful ways of action, and their deeds have brought Jim Crowism, segregation, and everything that brings harm to human beings on earth. And they fought the Southerners for all these great misuses. But I have traveled in the South and I have examined conditions there, and it is the works of my people continuously practicing things that bring dishonor, disgrace, and disrespect to any nation that lives a life. And I am hereby calling on all true American citizens for moral support and finance to help me in my great missionary work to bring my people out of darkness into the marvelous light. From the Prophet Noble Ali, Islam. Peace and love. Peace and love to Benjamin Bay, 9L, and DML.
Hey, peace and love, everybody.
All right. Divine Constitution of Moorish America. The Grand Sheik and the Chairman of Moorish America are empowered to make a law and enforce laws with the assistance of the Prophet and the Grand Body of Moorish America. The assistant Grand Sheik is to assist the Grand Sheik in all affairs if he lives according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and it is known before citizens of Moorish America. All meetings are to be opened and closed promptly according to the Circle 7 in love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Friday is our holy day of rest, because on Friday the first man was formed in flesh, and on Friday the first man departed out of flesh and ascended into his Father God Allah. For that cause, Friday is the holy day for all Muslims all over the world. Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice must be proclaimed and practiced by all citizens of Moorish America. No citizen is to put in danger or accuse falsely his brother or sister on any occasion at all that may harm his brother or sister, because Allah is love. All citizens must preserve these holy and divine laws, and all citizens must obey the laws of the government, because by being in Moorish America, You are part and parcel of the government and must live the life accordingly. No organization of Moorish America is to cause any confusion or overthrow the laws and constitution of the said government, but to obey thereby. With us, all citizens must proclaim their nationality, and we are teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed that they may know that they are part and parcel of this said government, and know that they are not Negroes, colored folks, black people, or Ethiopians, because these names were given to slaves by slaveholders in 1779 and lasted until 1865 during the time of slavery. But this is a new era of time now, and all men must proclaim their free national name to be recognized by the government in which they live and the nations of the earth. This is the reason why Allah, the great God of the universe, ordained Noble Jew Ali, the prophet, to redeem his people from their sinful ways. The Moorish Americans are the descendants of the ancient Moabites who inhabited the north and southwestern shores of Africa. All citizens must promptly attend their meetings and become part and parcel of all uplifting acts of Moorish Americans. Moorish Americans must pay their dues and keep in line with all necessities of Moorish America. And then you are entitled to the name of faithful. Husband, you must support your wife and children. Wife, you must obey your husband and take care of your children and look after the duties of your household. Sons and daughters must obey father and mother and be industrious and become a part of uplifting of fallen humanity. All Moorish Americans must keep their hearts and minds pure with love and their body clean with water. This divine covenant is from your holy prophet, Noble Jew Ali, through the guidance of his father, Allah. Islam. A peace and love to Brother Benjamin Bay. Did I hit every? I greeted everybody, I think, that tapped in.
Yeah. Love. You did.
So today, I want us to continue with a book called Ancient African Presence in Early Asia. The scope of this piece is dealing with Arabs. Who are the original Arabs? You know, highly melanated people. We'll tie this in with our holy books as well, or dealing with, Ham and Cush, Abraham, things of that nature. Let's see here. Sorry, Bay. Let me get the brother in here real quick. Wanna grab him? Brother Hassan, peace and love. Check the chat real. Oh, the title of this book. Let me put this in the chat. See, the ancient African presence, early Asia. I just put this in the chat. So we're reading page 271 of this book. All righty. So ebony and bronze race. And keep in mind, just throw this out there, when we say bronze, we're talking about copper. Our national flag, Venus. The green star represents Venus. The alchemical metal of Venus is copper. Back to the original definition of American, the copper tone people, highly melanated people. Genesis in the Bible, day 6 will be equivalent to Friday, the day of Venus, because when you speak ancient languages, that's Vieranes, the day of Venus, right? Man first came into flesh on day 6, according to Genesis. So that's a tie into the holy day, tie into Venus, tie into copper, tie into the copper colored people, etc. The original man and woman. Just wanted to throw that in there. All right. So the author's introduction. So let me rewind. Ebony and Bronze: Race and Ethnicity, Early Arabia and the Islamic World by Wayne B. Chandler. Author's introduction. The research in this chapter sheds light on the race and ethnicity of Arabia's early inhabitants with the aid of Arabian sources, brings historical clarity to the lineage of Muhammad and his family. There was at inception of Arabian civilization a powerful matriarchal culture. So the reason I highlighted certain things is for scope, in-depth scope, with how our people had a matriarchal governmental structure. What is matriarchal?
Ruled by women, right?
Mother Nature. What was that?
Ran by women.
Ran by women. Yeah, exactly. It was governmental wise, and also like we was talking before, Mother Nature just naturally, all life come through the womb, passing down inheritance, etc. Estate.
I have a question. I have a question about that.
Okay.
Because I had a conversation with a Caucasian person, and they were telling me like one of the reasons that supposedly we got conquered is that our culture is matriarchal, while theirs is patriarchal. So they're ready for war while we're ready for peace. I don't know if that's like a disconnect, but could you elaborate on that for me, please?
For the
Or like
long,
our matriarch origins and stuff. How about
well, some of our empresses like Queen Khalifa, Queen Dodo, Queen Sheba, is multiple empresses. Matter of fact, there's a longer stretch, like thousands of years of a matriarchal system with our people. The patriarchal, not even that long.
yeah,
So,
tiny.
but when we're dealing with that, our empresses, these was fierce. These was warriors. They were we were peaceful people, but we were still going to war. We were infighting. A lot of infighting was going on too. So it wasn't. I would say that's a misconcept as far as matriarch, as far as one's peaceful. Now the matriarchal practice piece, as far as culture, knowing yourself, meditation practices, yoga, like we were talking about earlier this week. We had peaceful practices which bled out into the society being peaceful. But things happen. But I wouldn't just say patriarch is violent and matriarch. I would just say it like that, though. You know what I mean? If that makes sense.
Yes, sir.
And a sign, and don't get it twisted, because it could be a man at the head of the government. Like we have sultans and emperors, but the style of government could still be matriarchal. So it's not necessarily just because a man or a woman that got elected to be the emperor or empress or the sultan or sultana, but not doesn't signify a patriarchal or matriarchal system. It's the actual style of government. How are the community operating in the government? Right.
I got one question when you say as far as like the style, like you said, getting back to nature, that that would be considered more so matriarchal, what you're saying, right?
Right. And
okay.
the brother Dupa Bey, and we went over this last week with brother Abdullah. He put in the Great Law of Peace. One of those would be the Iroquois, or commercially called the Iroquois Confederation, our 5 tribes that united because the foreigners were coming over here. It was a constitution that laid out how the chiefs were even appointed by the women, how inheritance was passed down through the woman. The women got the children competent to even administrate an estate, back to trust law today, managing your affairs and things like that. So that's all a sign of matriarchy, even that principle.
That was a book you said?
It's called the Iroquois Confederation Constitution.
So can you put that in chat? I can't even spell that, bro. I'm sorry. Read the Great Law of Peace.
Yeah, Great Law of Peace.
Okay.
I was under assumption that like at least for me, I was under assumption that patriarchal lineages were like successor from son to father. Like you said, that's a more recent time, but I think it makes more sense like from a longevity standpoint, because the woman, they kind of carry their memory of other generations behind them. So I think it makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And then somebody, the Empress text me, Taraji Bay. So just maybe you want to log out, log back in, and then make sure you hit the audio for your phone. Make sure you're tapped in. Were you saying something, brother Benjamin Bay? Or somebody speaking? Okay. All right, so matriarchal culture, which originated from Kush, now known as Ethiopia. So when you go to our holy books, Circle 7, Holy Quran, for example, you start talking about Ham and Kush, right? No, I still can't hear you, Taraji Bay. So you're talking about old man Kush. So this is chapter 47, Circle 7 Quran, divinely prepared by Noble Drew Ali. You're talking about old man Kush, his son Ham. I mean, his father Ham, his son was Kush. You start talking about a line of people. And I keep, I've talked about this multiple times, but it's new people on here. So to conceptualize, once again, I'm gonna bring this map because this map is classic for interpretation purposes. Ham, the father, Cush, the son, the Hamatites, the Cushites, right? Same people, just different lineage. So now, of course, the father is older. He had jurisdiction of the land, what they call Northwest of Mexico, which is today North Mexico, North America, Mexico, Central America, South America, the Caribbean island, our brothers and sisters from Hawaii, Samoa, all these areas, the old world, all the ancient pyramids is over here. Kush jurisdiction, or the son's jurisdiction, is over here. Modern day, what people call Asia, Hindustan, what they call the Arabian Peninsula, Yemen, Afghanistan, Indonesia, etc. Kush. All right.
So these are two nationalities of people, you saying, right? Of the Hamatites and the Cushites?
No.
They're one people.
They're the same nationality because it's just the separation of the land from father and son. So it's
Right.
the same
Okay.
bloodline, just different tribes
Different tribes. Okay.
of the same people, same
Sure.
nationality, same Moors,
Mhm.
different tribes.
So the son migrates that way and, has their tribe over here pretty much. You started the civilization or, another tribe over there.
Right.
Okay.
And it also shows his Ham had the jurisdiction of the Americas, modern day the Americas, that this side of the world is older. As far as when I say older, the human beings that started civilization started in the Americas, modern today,
Over
which we
here.
call the Americas. That's
Right.
That's why the pyramid is older over here. That's a classic example.
That's, man, wow. Because
You know what I'm saying?
we're led to believe that everything started in Africa and migrated this way, or damn.
Right.
Which is actually the sun's side. That's the side of the sun. So that's the side of the bloodline that's over there. They're like the children almost.
Right.
So that's why like the modern world is like basically a play of them. Like it's them playing, the children.
Right.
Interesting.
Yeah, just for perspective purposes. All right, so let's continue. So modern day Ethiopia, Abyssinia, India, Hindustan, Pakistan, all that area was the Kushites, known as the Kushites, right? Coming from the sun.
What's this?
So it's a couple of levels of what we're talking about right now. So the Moors or highly melanated people are the original Arabs, and we're getting into the different clans in the origin. Right. So when we talk about an Arab, we're not talking about what most people think today, the Middle Eastern, in their ideology. That's something that got created after 1920 or something, after World War I and II. All right. Its influence on Arabia, right? 1500 BC. Now, when we think about the Olmecs, the civilization of Moors with fezzes and turbans, let's look at their timeline. What was the timeline of the Olmecs? It was BC, right?
Yeah, BC. Early, like early. I was researching the Olmecs when you told me, and I was like, damn, they even look like our people. Even the statues, like you showed us, they
Right.
noses, the way they face is shaped. I was like, damn,
Right.
this is
Fezzes,
us.
Moorish fezzes and tassels. And look at the timeline. BC time, 1800 to 400 BC. Pyramid builders of America.
You say that actually stands for BC?
Berber calendar, but commercially called before Christ.
Like a little.
Like the Barbary code? Is that what they getting that from?
Yeah, the Barbary. Barbary.
Okay.
So you got
Okay.
Barbary and you got Tartary. The Barbary
Barbary.
side, so all that's the Moroccan Empire, but the Barbary side would be like the Mali Empire, so West Africa to the Americas. And that line I just showed you. So let me read this map back up actually.
The Himatites and the Kush?
Right, to an extent.
Okay.
Wait, what was I showing? Oh yeah, the map. Let me see. Go back to this map. That's a great question. But let me let this brother in. What was it?
BC.
For the iPhone. All right, so let's look back at this map. So this would be Barbary side right here.
Right.
Barbary. From the Mali Empire, what they call West Africa, to the Americas.
BC.
Which is
Barbary.
the Berbers, right? Because I remember
Berbers,
in my
right.
modern world textbook, they talk about the Berbers being BC, but they never elaborate into them. They never talk about them. There's like 1-2 chapters about Berbers, and then they just said they have Berber migrations, and that's all. They don't elaborate any further. And then they
Right.
move on to the next, period in modern history.
Right. Real quick, right? So now the
Real
other
quick.
side, the other side would be
The
Tartary, the Tartarian, right? Tartary.
Oh my God.
We're dealing
That's
with
us?
the like I say, Genghis Khan, Kublai Khan, Kushites, even before them, before that time period, but that's more recent, like 1400 AD. Different Khans and stuff like that. But just to give you a visual, so the empire was the Tartary and Barbary.
Just a question to the map, and it's on the subject of the map. Why is there two souths on S and S on the sides of them?
So you have northwest and southwest, and then you have northeast and southeast. Is that what you meant?
I was assuming, I thought it was the north, east, southwest, but I just see the two. I thought these ones on the side were first. Yeah, for like direction, I guess. I thought that was being that it was a map.
On the outside right here?
Yeah, I thought that was being that it was a map,
Even Mafiel, even when Rome was split in half around the 1400s, when they separated into the Byzantine Empire and the Western Roman Empire, or Eastern, whatever, it's still, even Ethiopia still is at the line where they separate.
Right.
So I'm curious.
That's the
Yeah,
line.
so
I'm glad you brought that up. That's a great observation. So this line right here is Ethiopia. Ethiopia is not a nationality of people. Those people are called Abyssinian. So in its original conception, it represents a demarcation line, or a line of separation which separates the land of Ham and Cush. And let's go back to the lessons. Let's go back to the holy books. Let's go back to the holy books. Matter of fact, let's just read this. Right, the dominion of Cush, northeast, southeast Africa, northwest, southwest. Africa was the father's dominion. All right. Now, then the word Ethiopia, which means the demarcation line of the dominion of a Mexim. So demarcation means that line that we just showed on the other map, was separating land from, that's Ethiopia. It's not a people. You feel me? So that's why I wanted to show you that visual. But we're gonna read this whole Quran verse a little later after I get through the demonstration.
If I may say something, I thought Ethiopia was a Greek term that meant people of burnt faces. and was considered to be all of Africans because Africa was split into two, Lower Ethiopia and Upper Ethiopia.
I've heard that too.
Yeah, and that as well. A lot of commercial modern interpretations of things. But that's what it is. It's a commercial interpretation because if you go with that, then you're saying like just like black. It's like equivalent to saying, oh, all those are black people, or all those are Ethiopians. That means burn.
Exactly.
Now you're running with that, and that's a handicap because it's a lot more intricate than that. For one, like I say, for the term Ethiopia, those are Moors that were called Abyssinians. So Abyssinian would be the more proper or more ancient than saying Ethiopian.
Ethiopians, right.
Because these are what foreigners called our people. Oh, these Ethiopians, these black people, these Negroes, they're summarizing, our people.
Yeah, because it's their names for us, which is very complicated and intricate. But they want to make sure that you don't know your people, you don't know your race, you don't know your history. So they give you commercial.
I might be sidebarring for a second, but how do you feel about the word Kemet? How people say it means the land of the blacks, but we are disassociating ourselves with blacks. I haven't been able to really get no clarification on them. Because in my studies, I'm showing that the original name from Egypt is Hikupta. It's not Kemet.
Right. And that you just answered it yourself. We gotta, and back to the divine warning, which we popped off, back to the ancient mind frame of our forefathers. So with the ancient mind frame, they're gonna say Hiku Ptah. It's really, you said Hiku, but it's really Hiku Ptah. And when you talk about Ptah, you go to the ancient, right? The Egyptian Book of the Dead or Ptah, right? That's life coming through the primordial waters, or the generating catalyst to cause life to come out the waters, right? And that's the manifesting. That's original man and woman is about manifesting on the earth plane. That's why we the record of all the empires we had, the pyramids, the science, the mathematics, all that's a case in point of how we were known for manifesting and being the illuminators of the world. The Jews, because the Jew come from Tahuti, which one that knows knowledge. So we bestow knowledge and illuminated everybody, right? Just throw that in there. So more ancient terms than saying Egypt will be, like you say, Hakupata or Ta-Mare. In Ta-Mare, Ta is short for terra, which just means land. And Africa goes back to the Latin word terra as well, which means land. So the whole world is Africa. But Moray or Moray is Latin for Moor. So when you say Ta-Mare, you're saying the land of the Moors. And that's proper than saying Egypt. That's more proper than just saying, oh, Egypt. And remember, they put that on our people too. Oh, that's the Egyptians or the gypsies. Like in a lot of ancient books, they refer to as Moors as gypsies, such as the Jews of Muslim Spain, ancient and modern Britons. There's a book that they refer to, they were here before Columbus by Ivan Van Sertima. There's multiple books that you'll see like they refer to our ancient. When I say Egypt, I'm talking about not Egypt what people think of Middle Eastern that got created in 1950 something. I'm talking about the ancient quote unquote Egyptians referred to as gypsies. But like I said, right, you know what I mean?
But you can even hear it in the root word Egyptian, gypsy, like because the origin of words will tell you. So I could even sense it in the origin. That's crazy. Anyways, I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, that's all good. And just for the chat, iPhone said he or she can't hear anything, so I would just log out and come back in and go through the prompts, make sure you got your sound on, and then there's a little mic on the bottom left that you can hit the mic. And Brother Hassan Omari Bay, peace and love, man. I see you tapped in.
Peace and love, brother. Peace and love to everybody.
All right, so I'm gonna continue unless we got some more questions here or statements or whatever. All right, its influence 1500 BC, so we see the date, and dominated the south up to the Islamic era, bequeathing the Arabia several civilizations in the area now known as Yemen. One of the most renowned was the kingdom of Saba or Seba, from which arose the mighty queen of Sheba. So research Queen. I got something queued up on her. And now we talking about Sabian culture or Semitic culture or Homo sapien. That's where you get the original man and woman culture.
So that story about King Solomon tricking her with the water, is that true?
That's up for I don't know. That
It's a story out there, in my research, like, what I'm saying? She came to King Solomon's palace, you know what I'm saying? And he was trying to, do what he do. And she rejected him kinda, and he like said, you would drink that water, and if you drink that water, you gotta give me that. And that's what happened, kinda basically. Like she drunk the water. He tricked her with his wisdom. Is that true?
Not the first time I heard that, but what I'm going to show is the lineage of Queen Sheba and to another testament of how we were a matriarchal society. But what you're saying, I just never read. I never read that in the Bible. I'm not saying that's just not there, but
it's long. The best way to clear that up is read the book When Rocks Cry Out. Give you a better understanding on how they switched everything around. The biblical historical events didn't happen over there in the so-called Middle East. The historical events happened in South America, not over there. So you have to take that into context too. So a lot of things, sometimes they say wisdom, it means something else. Maybe he gave her wisdom. It doesn't necessarily means that they had a physical contact. You understand what I'm saying?
I got you.
A lot of parables. Parables. It symbolizes something.
You have to get the book When Rocks Cry Out by Horace Butler to understand what biblically, historically happened. And it happened over here. And he breaks down the Aztecs as being from West Africa. The east side of West Africa, what we consider West Africa today, is actually East Africa. So we over here in the West. This is Egypt, and that's Ethiopia over there, based upon his book and his historical finds. So you have to get that book if you want to get into any biblical contents, right? So get into that book there, and it's only 147 pages, and it'll break down the biblical historical facts of what happened in the Bible and who were the people.
Mm-hmm. Excellent
What
was the name of that author?
Horace Butler.
When you type the title in Google, it'll come right up, bro.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, When Rocks Cry Out. Excellent book.
Yeah. He has plenty of YouTubes that you can look into and listen to, but also get the book so you can follow the book, and he'll take you step by step on the stuff that they describe in the Bible. You won't find over there, you'll find over here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have to get that clear too when it comes to biblical context.
Islam.
Yeah, there was a university that did a study and showed that the Olmecs are West Africans with the wide noses, thick lips, and raised cheekbones.
Mm-hmm.
Were West Africans.
And the
Dogon.
In the Dogon were the more ancient civilization before it was called the Mali Empire. It was Dogon, and they got mohawks. They wearing the same thing that they call the Native Americans is wearing the mohawks and stuff like that, which shows it's the same culture as well.
Right.
But I want to highlight with Queen Sheba. Look what she has in her hand. The as above, so below. They would call her Jewish. They would call this Jewish insignia. But of course, ancient culture, we know Jewish is not a nationality. That represents as above, so below, as within, so without, Hermetic principles, and a signifier of original culture. Knowing the planetary energies of the planets as it relates to humans on the planet having an Earth experience, dealing with impulses, right? We're talking about cosmological, astrological signs, right? There's 12 signs. And all these signs have ruling planets. The planets are above. Below are the human beings that came out the womb that have certain characteristics and impulses based on their sign, right? So this is all Moorish culture. We say Moorish culture. But I wanted to highlight what I found interesting when I was going through this. It says one legend had it that Queen Sheba brought Solomon, like the brother said, the same gifts that the Magi later gave to Jesus. So let's put this into context.
Wait, what the? Hold.
Hold on. Hold on. Let's think about this. Let's think about this.
That's
So who were the Magi? Who are considered Magi? Of course, they're gonna bleach everybody out. But they got pheasants.
They all bleached out.
These were called
Maybe the Moors.
They're Moors, and I can show
They
you.
even have our caps.
I remember I showed y'all on a demonstration Tuesday, on an orientation demonstration, how the Haitian coat of arms, the coat of arms of El Salvador, both got pheasants like this. Matter of fact, let me just bring it up. The same type
They
of
had the caps.
was
The
Moors.
Magi.
Yeah, the Magi, the three wise men, right? It was the Moors.
Three wise
men. Right? And the Magi will give wisdom to the kings and queens of or the emperors, right? These wise Moors. Any ancient books, you'll see Magi always gave enlightenment. They were the seers, the nobles.
They were the seers, exactly.
Wow.
Would that kind of go with that famous picture that's known with George Washington with the Moor standing behind him?
Yeah, that's what you call a
Magi.
A Magi.
What's the picture of that? I've never seen
I think that George Washington thing was all a lie because I've never met a European with the last name Washington. Every person I met with the last name Washington has been a person of Moorish descent.
Washita, right? These are clans of Moors. That's where Washington come from. Washita.
I'm trying to tell you.
Now look at these coat of arms. See these in El Salvador? They got the fez and they coat of arms. El Salvador. The coat of arms of Haiti, the fez, the same fez that you see that the Magi had on, right? Let's go back to the picture of the Magi.
The fez, and they whited out. They whited out. They bleached the hell out of the Magi.
Hey, y'all seen what Vladimir did? We need to be walking around beating our chests like King Kong right now.
Yeah, Vladimir Putin, he released some of the ancient images of Christ.
I'm not lying. I've been talking trash ever since my man did that. I'm like, yeah, y'all can't say nothing now.
Can't say shit about Jesus being not. You feel me?
The original pictures of Jesus, yeah, or
right. You know what I mean?
Hey, he got lost.
And then like they had like some rabbi come up there. My man was nervous as hell talking to everybody, trying to make sense of that shit. Y'all saw that shit? I seen it.
But check this out. Did you notice that the American media focused put the pictures to the bodies? They didn't put the pictures. They didn't show the whole facial.
I'm trying to tell you, man.
Those pictures came from the international media. See, you got to understand that they can't allow you guys to get to that point of thinking that you're gods and you
I'm already there
and all that. They can't allow that, especially here in America. They cannot allow
especially
that.
in America.
Shit.
Especially in America.
I've been talking shit. Y'all, I hate to say it, y'all, but I've been talking shit. I ain't even gonna lie, because y'all my family. I've been talking shit, beating my chest.
Talk that shit.
Hell yeah, man. It's about time.
That's funny.
You know?
Yep. So, and once again, we want to have these reference points. So when we waking our people up is with intelligence, specifics, cross-referencing. You know, it's not just nobody's opinion. It's public record.
It's real. Yep.
I like that because sometimes like I'll be training. I try to wake people up, but I think the way you go about it,
they drunk with the wine of her fornication. They are gone. Our people in this wilderness of North America, that they've made it a wilderness now because it was ours first. But our people are gone. It's a very hard job to do missionary work. That's why I think I'm gonna move with Sheik in California. They seem to be having a beautiful time. Virginia is like different, bro. Like you got a lot of Europeans, you know what I'm saying? They don't even understand that Europe ain't even a continent. They don't even understand. They don't even have a place of origin. They get mad with you when you tell them that. You know what I'm saying? But
Right.
You know, it's crazy out here through the music and the clubs and all the jive going on out in the street, man. People don't be wanting to hear nothing, man.
Yeah.
So, you know, I just try to educate myself, get myself stronger, try to get my family down and move in silence, man. You know what I'm saying? Move in peace. That's the best way to do it, man. Because you can expel a lot of energy towards other stuff that you need to, you know, keep it within you and focus on you and yours. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. You know, we just do what we do. You know, it's gonna unfold how it's gonna unfold. We just, you know, keep getting the lessons, keep getting competent, and like the brother, just wearing your fez and turban out in the world, people gonna come to you. People gonna come to
Yeah.
you asking you questions and just blazing with that light. You know.
Exactly.
I just went to one of my friend's court cases, you know, and I had my fez on and I wrapped it and everything, and I got a lot of bad looks and stuff, but a lot of people was asking me, what are you, you know, always asking me, are you a Shriner? Are you a Mason? You know what I'm saying? And I would have to break it down and tell them who I am. Yeah, like for real. Everybody that came to me was like, are you a Mason? Why do you have that on? The lady in the courthouse, when I'm trying to get in there, is that for religious purposes? I looked at her because she was a
already
Mormon.
knows.
I looked at her with this serious look in my face, and I was like, yep.
Well,
You know what I'm saying? Because I
well,
was waiting for her to be like, you got to take that off or whatever, because I was going to burn them right there. You know what I'm saying?
well, actually, Moors and Masons are synonymous. Look in the palm of your hand. Look at your left hand. You will see an M in the middle of it.
Yes, sir.
Take a look at it. See the M shape in your hand and your palm? Moors
Yes,
and
sir.
Masonry are synonymous.
Wow.
What do
See,
you mean the M in your hand?
see the
You
M,
know how the
see the
little
palm of
veins
your
is
hand.
shaped in an M. The veins
You
in
see
your
the
palm of your
M.
hand.
Yeah,
Look
you
at
see
them.
the vein? That's an M
Yeah, it
in
is.
your hand. Now
Don't
you
pay
got to
attention
remember
to how it cross in the middle right there, but yeah, that is an M. He's absolutely
that's an
correct.
M. Now peep this out. Now Masons, they build and they destroy what's not needed. Freemasonry, they conceal the knowledge and then use it to destroy others. That's the difference between the two.
And their whole game is concealing of knowledge and deception.
Exactly, because I have a
when
couple friends that's
can
in
you say that
masonry. They
again?
don't.
I said masonry, Masons, they build and they destroy what's not needed. Freemasonry, they conceal knowledge and use it to destroy others.
Yeah, that's deep, bro.
Because I've seen
That's
some of
deep.
the Masonic texts, or at least the Freemason texts, and what they do say is that each level they hide something from you, and even
They
when you
They
enter,
worship King Solomon. They worship King Solomon, bro. They follow King Solomon.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
man.
saying? I did get enough information off one of my bros that's, you know, he into the Masons and stuff. They follow
Yeah.
King Solomon. They Bible is real thick.
Yeah, man. So
King Solomon.
to become a Moorish master, you have to have an instructive tongue, a knowledgeable mind, and you have to have a heart, like a heart of non-fear. That's the road to. What's that?
You said fearlessness.
You gotta have, you gotta be fearless. You gotta be fearlessness. You gotta have an instructive tongue, and you gotta have a knowledgeable mind. You know what I'm saying? That is the roadmap, man. You know.
And also, once again, my son, it's a compound word. My son, anciently MA always represent mother. Anytime you see MA or my, mother's son. All sons come through a mother. So never forget that, you know, back to the commercial definition versus the ancient definition. So yeah, we're Masons in that concept because everybody on here came through the mother, came through the vaginal to have this physical experience. So, you know, the monad became the nomad, right? So the monad, that spark. Now we having this physical experience. Now we can travel. You know, our people were nomads. Travel anciently across the seas. etc. All right. Somebody keep texting me saying they can't hear. Oh, all right. So, and then the brother brought up King Solomon as far as the Masonic circles. That's the shift. That's the when you hear in the parable about his interaction with Queen Sheba, you got
Yeah.
original culture versus new culture. There was a clash, right?
Okay.
A deception was attempted, or etc. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's the symbolic of the whole thing, like the brother was saying. You know what I mean? It represents
Okay.
a shift in civilization or mind frame paradigm.
Ah. Okay.
Yeah.
And Solomon, I did a little research on Solomon. Apparently, Solomon was able to summon and banish demons. He
Yes.
wrote a thing called the Lesser Keys and something
The
else. He
Testament of
wrote
King
another.
Solomon is out of the Bible. You got to look for that online. It's not in the Bible, but yes. Before I found Morris Science, that book kind of struck me really hard because it was kind of like making me understand how the spiritual powers that be that are not visible with the naked eye, how they make us do certain shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly.
So I feel you on that.
And then there's other levels too, because you got Solomon's temple, the mentioning of Solomon's temple in the Bible. But when you look at that, you're talking about the soul of man and how man is built in the woman's womb as well. You know, with no hammers. You know, the building of the
My
temple.
thing is this. How King Solomon had all the women, but they teach us it's wrong for us to have more than one. I'm confused with that till this day.
Well,
that's more of a.
Now I battled with I reasoned with a Hebrew Israelites. They was on the street, and I asked him that question, and he told me, he said, if you can take care of both women or whatever equally and treat them all the same, it's good in the eyes of the Most High. But if you do like how society does, like you married, then you got your little, whatever. Well, people have their little whatever on the side. That's different. But if you got them all in one spot and they in union and you take care of all of them the same way, they saying you can do that. Do you believe that, or do you believe that you should just be with one chick?
I feel like today, where everybody's at mentally as a whole,
one
it's case by case. Like if that's the agreement between that particular dynamic, if that's what it is, if it's peace with that, but it's not like you got to do that. Like that's what comes with this culture. Like,
Word. I feel you.
You know what I'm saying?
I got you. I just, you know what I'm saying? Because I be thinking a lot, bro. Like sometimes, like I wonder if that's why it's so hard to be in a regular relationship, because you not meant to just be with one woman. Because kind of sometimes you feel like it's inconceivable for a person to fulfill your every want, need, and desire all the time. You know what I'm saying? They're gonna make mistakes. They're gonna do stuff that may you be like, well, dag, or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know, bro. I just wanted to ask, man. Let's get back to the lessons, man. You know what I mean?
I feel you. I feel you. Right, so let me continue here. All right. So Queen Sheba, these quote unquote blacks culturally affected the fertile areas Oman, Yemen, and Hadramaut, known in Arabia, Felix or Happy Arabia. Located in the North Arabia is the Arabia Desert or arid, barren, rocky wasteland, the home of the Semitic Arab. The reason I highlighted Semitic because when you talk about, oh, they're anti-Semitic, they're alluding to the fact like, oh, they're anti-Jewish. So back to how we were the original quote unquote Jews or the original Arabs, right? The Semitic Arab descend from Heber or the race of Shem, which descends in the line of Abraham. So we talk about Abraham. He's a big figure in the Quran and the Bible. So he was Jewish, right? Because we know Jewish just means the light bearer, one that knows knowledge. So if you come to anybody today, like, oh, you know, Abraham was Jewish, they're like, no, he was Christian. But that's true too, because originally, which we're gonna get into right now, the original concept of being a Christian was dealing with Krishna, or the illumination of the Christ, the pineal gland. You know, at this time, it wasn't modern Christianity as it's proposed today.
Commercial.
Commercialized.
Commercialized.
Back to the commercial, back to the ancient, right? Two sides of the
Commercialized
spectrum.
Christianity.
Right. So, all right, continuing. So, Ebony and Bronze is about the racial, social, and cultural politics born from the inevitable interaction between these two groups, the blacks and the Semites of the Arabian Peninsula, same people. It closely examines the role of Islam, Muhammad, and the Jihads, and the mighty Abbasid Empire. Back to I said Abyssinian, which commercially Ethiopian, and the formation and maintenance of what became the Muslim world. The research also explores the calamitous circumstances that would eventually lead to the split of the Islamic world into two camps, Sunni and Shiite. The information contained in Ebony and Bronze is pertinent and vital to a clear and comprehensive overview of the role players in Islamic history. For these very groups would later set the stage for the Moorish movement in Spain in the Arabian Peninsula. So we talk about the most famous story about the Moors is the Moors is in Spain for 700 years. Most people know about that as far as talk about the Moors. That's the biggest thing, right? So before that, it was things that happened before that, right? So we'll get into that. We'll tie that in a couple pages. The essay is an edited version of a larger work dealing with mainly the ethnicity of the Moors of Spain. Due to the focus of this analogy, however, Mr. Chandler has graciously allowed us to rearrange it in the original introduction on the Moors of Spain. All right, so continuing. Pull these screens out the wall. All right. The Copts. So Coptic. We're talking about back to that Christianity of ancient. The Copts are a race of blacks, quote unquote, right? So we talk about Coptic Christianity. I want to show everybody, we talk about Coptic Christian, that's the original concept. So let's go to the Coptic cross. Here's a visual of the Coptic cross, most called the Ankh. Most people call this the Ankh. So the original Christian mind frame looked at stuff from, male and female, because that's what the top of the Ankh represents, the womb of the woman, right? The bottom is the testicles and the phallus. So man and woman together. That's the same thing the yin and the yang represents, right?
Right.
So we're starting to see the ancient perspectives of our people. Just to give an example. Also, when you go to the earth glyph, you see that's what the Coptic cross is, the earth glyph. Now we're talking about astrology. The earth glyph is a schematic when you're dealing with natal charts and stuff like that. So the earth glyph, what does it represent? The 4 seasons, right? So we got spring, we got so I hate that this is doing this, but so on this side we got spring, on the bottom we got summer, we got autumn, we got winter, the 4 gates. Back to the fez, the 4 circles on the top of the fez representing the 4 seasons, 4 gates. That's what the Coptic cross represents. Knowledge of when and when to plant, etc. So now everybody should be familiar with the circle 7, right? The circle 7.
What is circle 7?
Has everybody seen that? What that looks like?
Let me see.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen it.
You see, everybody's seen this, right?
Oh yeah, I've seen that. Yeah,
that's on the front of our Quran, our holy book. It has 4 openings representing the same thing, our knowledge, our mastery of that. And when you in more primitive or lower levels, before you get to this stage, this is a zodiac wheel, and there's 12 signs. In between these 4 gates, you got 3 signs, right?
The cardinals, which represent the element. Oh
right.
Man,
Cardinal
this
points.
Is
cardinal, mutable.
Right. Water, fire, air.
Exactly.
Earth. All right. So when you get to the mastery of the 12 constellations and what they mean for yourself the way you act, what people you need to be around to bring the best version of yourself out. That's all a Gnostic perspective.
Cool.
So I wanted to share that. Let me check the chat here. Peace and love.
Yeah.
Does that
Brother
mean
Mafia.
going inward more so, like, or checking my understanding of Gnostic? Like you said, all quote unquote religions, as far as and just going inward to self, more like you said, the natal chart.
Right, as above, so below, as within, so without. So the perspective of the inward would be knowing your chart, knowing your impulses, knowing how you move, just in case you need to make corrections.
Right.
So that'd be the inward. And Gnostic just means one that knows knowledge. That's what
One
Gnostic
that knows. Oh, okay. One that knows knowledge.
All right, so the Copts. Now we know Coptic Christians, and we've ever heard that term. Now we know where they're coming from. So Khalil al-Rahman asked for a son from them. So there was born to him a great prophet from them, who was Ishmael, the father of the Arabs. Now, Ishmael's father is Abraham. So this is Arabic. This is Abraham's Arabic name. So Ishmael was another son of Abraham. Anybody knows the Bible? The father of the Arabs. So in Christian circles, if you come to a modern day Christian, they're gonna be pro Abraham. Oh yeah, we are right. We are too, but we just know more comprehensive history. A piece of love, Empress Nine. Of right. So these are Muslims, Jews, right? The Prophet Muhammad, God bless him and grant him salvation, also asked them for a son, and Ibrahim was born. I don't know if everybody knows about that story. Gabriel was like how they promoted in the Quran with the Q is that he got an angel, bestowed divination upon him and gave him illumination or whatnot, right? So we know that Arabia was once a portion of ancient African Kushite Empire. Now we know Kushite coming from the Kush, right? The sun. Most scholars agree that in an epoch now forgotten, Southern Arabia was originally settled and populated by blacks who belonged to the Kushite or Ethiopian race. But we know Kushite would be more ancient than saying Ethiopian now, right? Testimonies in ancient texts fix the geographical origin of the population in the extreme southwest and Arabian Peninsula, from where they migrated in a northeasterly direction to areas now known as Yemen, Oman, and Hadramaut. These Ethiopians were the original Arabs. So not, Middle Eastern pale Arab, that's not the original Arabs. And keep in mind, back to the names that were given to us by foreigners. Foreigners called our people Arabs. Why? Because we spoke Arabic. Foreigners called our people Latino. Why? Because we spoke Latin. People called our people the Mayans. Why? Because we practiced Mayat, balance, peace. So this will give you some, insight on that. These Ethiopians were the original Arabs, known in the ancient tongue as Adites or Thamudites, descendants of Ham, right? The father, right? That'll be the father of the Kush, right? Descendants of Ham, the father of the black race, as they say in this book. The name Himyar, which means dusky or dark, was given to the black race. We know that the Himyaric language is African in origin and character. Its grammar identical with the African-based Abyssinian. The Ethiopia Britannica gives a description of the physical qualities of the original Arabs, as well as a deeper insight into the cultural foundation of the empire. So let's read what they say right here. The inhabitants of Yemen, Hadramaut, Oman, and the adjoining districts, in the shape of the heat, color, length, and slenderness of the limbs, scantiness of the hair, point to African origin. The first dawnings gleam that deserve to be called history find Arabia under the rule of the southern race. They claim descent from Khatan. They were divided anciently into several aristocratic monarchies. These Yemenite kings, descendants of Khatan and Himyar, the dusky or the dark, a name denoting African origin, whose rulers were called Toba of Hamitic etymology. So whenever you hear Hamitic, think of Ham.
Like a
Originally,
hand.
yeah, Ham, back to the father and son, Ham and Cush. Few dynastic interpretations for about 2,500 years. They demanded the obedience of the entire southern half of the peninsula and northern by tribute. The reason I highlighted tribute because when you go to our treaties, even the ones like in the 1800s, like this a couple hundred years ago, you'll hear George Washington in a letter to our Sultan say he missed a couple marks of attention or tribute payments, which is basically, they were paying rent to us or any organized government that's where a foreigner comes over to that government, the foreigner gonna pay tribute or they're gonna pay rent. So that's a international governmental term. Tribute would be more proper, or you can just loosely say that was paying rent to the home team or whatnot. Right? To these great rulers of the Arabian South, we can attribute the finest of that which constitute Arabian civilization. Their culture encompassed the vast accomplishments of those Arabian blacks and was a direct investment of old Kushite families as well. All right, I just want to read this last page and then tie in some things. So I'm going down to in the 700 BC, the Black Sabians, or Saba, or Sheba, Sabian, and eventually absorbed the Minoan civilization. So when people look up the Minoan, or let's look it up right now, actually. Minoan. So when I looked up the Minoan civilization, these are I went to images. This is what I find. So for one, I see these structures that the Minoans built, pillars. That's a sign of Moorish architecture, for one. For two, I see images of empresses with feathers and turbans on. That's the second thing that stood out.
I'll say I have a question. So I was looking at the modern Christian interpretation of Noah and Ham and his brothers Shem and Japheth, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
They say that we're cursed. Is that what do they mean by us being cursed? He said that he had seen his father naked, and since he seen his father naked, he told his brothers he was cursed. And he didn't curse Ham, but he cursed his people. So what could you help me understand that? I know it's a little.
But before I get to that, just hold that thought. Hold that thought. I wanted to finish explaining something real quick. So when you go into the Minoan, you see the pottery as well. When you study the pottery like this, you start thinking about the indigenous cultures of Peru, Mexico, and Central America, which were Moors that were notably known for ceramics and things like that. So, which another indicator that we pushed the culture east. And also, whoever was on last week, the brother Abdullah, he talked about the horns of the goat or the bull. So we look at Minoan and the symbols and things of that nature is very, very matriarchal. Because whenever you see the goat or the bull, just know that's representing the matriarch or the crescent moon. The horns that are shaped like the crescent moon, representing fertility, etc. So whoever hasn't seen Moorish architecture, most should have, but a sign of Moorish architecture is what?
The dome.
The shape of the doorway.
The horseshoe arches, right? The U-shaped arches, pillars. All right. So here, once again, more visuals, cathedrals, Taj Mahal style buildings. Look at the White House now. Look at that different now, right? Pillars.
The White House literally looks like the architecture of the Moors, but it's white. It's like the same dome structure at the top.
Well, it was designed by Benjamin Bay.
Benjamin Banneker, yeah.
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 Yep. All right. So before I continue, go ahead with your thought before you lose your thought, Brother Brian.
Okay, so they said that after the flood, so there's like a cataclysm, the flood, wipes humanity again, and then we have Noah and his sons, and they say that Ham sees his father naked, and because he sees his father naked, he goes to tell his brothers that not him being cursed, but Canaan being the Canaanites, being us, the sons of Ham, um, that we would be cursed and put into slavery and all this. I don't know, is that a justification for, the albinos doing their thing? Or is that like, does that actually have some like true description in what we have, in what, our situation as people are in?
Well, yeah, most people will will use that to justify certain things they do in real life. But like the brother was saying earlier, a lot of things are symbolic. And back to the divine warning, because of infighting and the ideology switch of our people from original mind frame to modern mind frame, i.e., Roman, or you say like the Byzantine. Like when you say the Byzantine Empire, that was a slow shift into full fledged Roman. It was like
Yeah.
it was like a middle period before it became, it went from what they call Carthage or the Ottoman. Well, Carthage would be ancient, more ancient than modern, ancient than Ottoman, but that's the Moorish Empire, Carthage and Rome. It was a conflict between Carthage and Rome, and that's the bottom line. So when our people start, being able to, slaves and getting took over and losing our culture, is all because of our fault, infighting and wanting to, get more loose and not as disciplined as we, once were. So I wouldn't be literal as saying, or
Okay.
like that. Let's see. So 700 BC. So we're still in BC time. The timelines are important, so you don't want to get lost because the foreigner call our people so many different things: Sumerians and Phoenicians and, like I say, the Mayans, and all these are the same people though.
Because I looked at some of the Sumerian pictures and they got locks too. Like some of them have locks. Crazy.
Yep.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
So 700 BC, the Black Sabians conquered and eventually absorbed the Minoan civilization. So that's a sign of infighting, right? Because these are the Black Sabians and the Minoans are the same people, but now we're fighting against each other. So keep this in mind. The Sabian Empire became the extension of Ethiopia and was ruled by the line of queens. So what I'm highlighting is the matriarch as far as ancient government structure was back to the matriarch, right? A line of queens, right? Called Candaces. So when you think of the word Candace or a woman called Candace, right? That's symbolic, or it means it denotes a line of matriarchal. Before Islam arrived in the 7th AD. Now, when we're saying Islam at this point, we're talking about modern day Sunni, Shiite mind frame. Before that is back to the Islam from the I, self, law, and master, back to the circle 7, back to the as above, so below. In order to master yourself, you have to know yourself. In order to know yourself, you got to get your chart done, know your impulses, know your character, right? So that's a different type of Islam, which what they say, most modern Muslims will call that being a Sufi. Oh, are you a Sufi? So that'd be the closest thing to because really in the Quran, it's supposed to be no sex in Islam. It's supposed to be no different groups. It's supposed to be one perspective. So the mere fact that there's so many different sects is a sign that things have went astray. So I just want to throw that in there.
You think that's as far as like how it says that in the Quran that the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, was sent to bring all the nations together. Were they talking about Moorish nations that were divided?
Yeah. Yep.
That's what my understanding was.
Yep. That's exactly what it was. And every prophet or warner of the people in different ages, that's what they were. If you notice, they was called the Great Unifiers, right? And that's a sign of prophet status too, the ability to do that in great numbers. In hindsight, you look back like, okay, You're right. These men or women did great work. All right. So the Arabia was matriarchal once again for over thousands of years of recorded history. So back to what I was saying earlier, majority of the time, our people was in the matriarchal system. The annals of Ashurbanipal said Arabia was governed by queens far as long as anyone could remember. The land's original Allah was Al-Lat, part of the female trinity, along with the core or the virgin of Al-Zor, the powerful one, the triad known as Manat. Marriages were matrilocal. When you look up this word matrilocal, that means when marriages took place, the man went with the woman's family or blended in. The inheritance was matrilineal, right? Back to things getting passed down through the woman. Inheritance was passed through the women. Women kept the children competent enough to pass to run the organization, or run the community, or run the clan, or run the house, or run the tribe. Right? Now, this is just cross-referencing, right? To show that our people was matriarchal. So to go back to the brother Hassan, to what he was talking about, Palandry, right? 7 husbands were to 1 wife was common. So think about this. This was the opposite. So women had multiple men.
Multiple husbands, huh?
Multiple husbands. That was more traditional than the flip. Why?
You said why?
No, I'm saying why. WHY.
Yeah, why? I want to know why.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, if a woman got 7 guys and you the last one to do something, it's going to be like throwing a hot dog down the hallway. You know what I'm saying?
But think about this,
Not
though.
even that. It's more
I can't even imagine
thing,
why.
bro. Like, that's a disease problem.
It's something, yeah.
But see, we think it's sex.
Yeah, that's all we
I
think
never
about
had
is
sex. It
far
might
as
have been no
protection,
sex.
Well,
really.
I mean, Mafia, that's part of it. I mean, come
That's
on,
true.
let's
I
be
can see
clear
that.
here. I mean, you know.
Maybe it was one that was that partner, but the other one was probably for protection, or like.
Well, which makes more
Now,
sense.
come on now. I ain't gonna be cool with being your husband. I'm just here to protect you from harm. I mean, you know, sometimes I want to sip a little wine. You know what I'm saying?
That's modern. I'm talking about modern mind frame based on societal norms of today.
Yeah,
it's inconceivable to see something like that today,
I can't
right?
even imagine it, really.
Right?
Inconceivable.
But
mean impossible. Yep, that's right.
But men play different roles. Like, remember, the woman was powerful. Like, when a woman has her head on straight, just think about the diplomacy. You know, if say we're trying to do trade with another nation, right? Our women gorgeous. They know law, they know their history, they got elected by the people, and it's an ambassador talking with other nations of people for just to see what we can do. How can we unite? How can we expand? Think about the guard being down by the man that she's talking to versus a man talking like that. Even today, we see it.
Yeah.
They're gonna be more willing to listen. Like, okay, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
So women could push the political agenda better than us, just based on their nature of being gorgeous.
Definitely, I definitely agree.
I can see that.
It's supposed to be that way.
Yeah.
Because men will look at each other as, like, even if we are talking, sometimes we'll look at each other as adversaries or competition.
Competitive.
Especially on a political side, we'll definitely look at each other as. But, you know, from a man to female perspective, say man is on one side, female's on, our side. He's definitely going to drop his guard, let her be beautiful. Let her understand law and politics.
Form of manipulation, isn't it, guys? I mean, come on, let's be clear.
Wait, what? Say that again.
She using her beauty, you know what I'm saying, to make. She using her beauty to make, to do the little business with the politicians and everything. Damn, she's lying. So let me go ahead and let her talk, see what mommy talking about. You know what I mean? I get where y'all coming from.
Right, exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah. Exactly.
Well, they say you can tell the condition of a nation by its women.
Yes, I agree.
So fellas, look around outside and see the condition of our women, and that tells you the condition of our nation.
Sodom and Gomorrah, motherfucker. I hate to say it, but Sodom and Gomorrah.
Damn
No
near.
debate. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Ain't no damn near. They even fucking protecting the weirdos now. You know what I'm saying? You on the job, if you say certain words or whatever around them, you get canned, bro. You know what I'm saying? They'll let a white person call you a nigga before they let you call a gay person a faggot.
Crazy.
Yep.
Crazy.
And just real quick, this will be the last couple paragraphs I read on this segment, and this will show you how our people adopted Roman ideology and how it was a clash based on that. All right, so returning to the chronology of the Black dynasties of Yemen, the 6th century began with Dhu Noaz on the throne, passionately anti-Christian. He was infuriated that a monk introduced Christianity to the Najran, an area just north of Yemen. Acting on his rage, he ordered enormous trench dug and filled with branches and other flammable materials in which Christians of Najran were thrown and buried alive. Some Christians managed to flee to Constantinople, right? The jurisdiction of Constantine and the crew. Think about this, right? Where they appealed to the Byzantine Emperor Justin I. Unwilling to commit his own troops to what would surely be devastating military defeat, Justin urged the Christian Emperor of Abyssinia. Look, the Christian Emperor of Abyssinia. So when you talk to most quote unquote Ethiopians, they're gonna say they Christian, they Coptic Christian.
They stopped first,
right?
Reset.
To avenge the death of these Christian martyrs. Thus arose the next Black dynasty in Yemen, the Abyssinians. The Abyssinians marched on Yemen in the year 525 CE, and with the death of Nuwas, who was not Christian, he was Muslim, brought a close to the Hammerite chapter of Arabian history. Now, I want to analyze what's going on here, because this is 525. What happened in 325 AD? The Nicene Council. Nicene Council, right? Constantine and the crew, right? So we had some of our people that was still ancient culture beefing with our own people that were Christian, Abyssinian Christian, or Ethiopian Christian, or Coptic Christian. It was a shift. So once our people in original culture would, we do crazy stuff to our people, burn them and whatever, who they run to? Constantine, to get away from this, right?
Yeah.
So there you see the shift of Carthage and Rome, to summarize it,
and that's such like a big topic in history of like the Roman Empire and its like fight with Carthage. It's like one of the defining moments. They call it the Punic Wars, right?
Yep, the Punic Wars. Yep. And that's, Phoenician and Punic will be, the same, or the Phoenician Wars, the same thing. But now you see that's an intricate view of the separation between ancient and modern. And these weren't no blonde hair, blue eyed people on the scene yet. So when we say Rome,
yeah,
this is our own people.
This is old.
Yeah, this
BC.
is old. BC time. There wasn't even no Slavs on the scene yet. Blonde hair, blue eyed people in political power at all. Nowhere close.
You know what? Also, I wanted to add on. I'm sorry to jump in like this. I remember someone mentioned Shriners earlier. The Shriners, they're actually paying homage to the Moors, but at the same time stealing your birthright. So when you see them wearing the fez with the name Morocco, El Bay, and so forth, they're paying homage to the Moors because they have no ancient history. So I just wanted to throw that in there as well. So I heard someone mention the Shriners, but that's the reason why they wear the fez.
Well, the Moors also taught the Europeans at the same time. And then the Christians and the Muslims came to a point to where they came into, those treaties that you're talking about, came into an understanding with one another. So I think people kind of overlooking the fact that Masons were also given that, you're talking about the European Masons, but the original Masons are the Moors. Masonry comes from Moorish science. So you shouldn't hate a Prince Hall Mason. And, you know, I can understand the opposition as far as a European Mason. But I think the Moors and the Prince Hall Masons should find a sort or a median of understanding or connection. Because you have prominent brothers in history that are Masons. Marcus Garvey was one of them.
Well, that's the thing. If they're willing, because let's keep it, call a spade, right? So when you look at the Prince Hall, those are when you look at their origin, I'm talking about incorporation wise, like articles of incorporation. They're a subsidiary of Shriners and Knights of Malta, you know, the Knights of Columbus, you know. So it's back to the puppet master, right? They're gonna put people that look like us in front of us to put our guard down, right? But if these people, highly melanated Masonic members, Prince Hall, if we start talking to them, they don't really have high degrees like that. The stuff we're talking about right now, they don't even know about. You know, so if they did know about this, and then after knowing about it, would be, humble themselves and be like, you know what?
Accept it.
We really need to drop what we're doing with this fraternity order and get to nation state with nationality and culture. Then it would be no issue. But if it's any type of hostility to doing that, then you see who they're working with. It's Boule.
Yes, exactly.
You know what I mean? So it's just a matter of a conversation to see who we're dealing with,
Man, I can't, you know what? This one brother I can't stand. Every time I see Umar
Thank
Johnson,
you, Raphael.
man,
I appreciate that.
every time I see Umar Johnson, I just cringe, man. I just throw a sock at the TV, man.
You don't like Dr. Umar? He funny.
What's up with Dr. Umar?
Oh man,
he talking real shit though. I know he doing the Martin Luther King thing. You know what I'm saying? I feel what you're saying. He ain't making no fucking change. He running his mouth. But the motherfucker talking real shit though. When he go on the Breakfast Club shows and shit, he be saying some real shit.
But just the connotative use of black, to the degree that he used, he never referenced any scholarly literature or law books. Never.
That's true.
Never. His whole get down is emotionalism, to get into your skin emotionally and get you charged that way. But he never present any law books, any scholarly literature to substantiate his claims. Never.
I definitely agree with that.
I mean, the way you are right. I'm not disagreeing with you, but I do have a slight rebuttal. Check it, right? Even though you're right, the stuff he's saying is really the current condition of our people. The shit about the schools, the shit about some of the stuff he be saying, you know what I mean? I never seen him live before. I've always watched him on the internet.
Well, if he's gonna be that dedicated, just come out and say it. Okay, we as Moors need this, we need XYZ. We are Moors, we were here first. We are Moors, we're indigenous, autochthonous, primitive, and aboriginal to the land. Just come out and say it. But don't dance around, buck dance.
Like Masi said, being that he's not saying that, you see where he's standing.
Word. Okay.
That's the same thing with the Prince Hall. Like, where based on what they do and what they say, you know who you're dealing with.
Exactly.
And like, I think Dr. Umar is like you said, he good for the people at the level where they at. But like, if you want more, Dr. Umar is definitely not gonna give you more.
Yeah, because look, they're not
dividing people.
They're gonna they'll place a mic in front of him, but they'll never do that to, let's say, Taj Tariq Bey. They would never give him CNN. You kidding me? They would never give.
We know why.
Taj,
look at that name.
Hey,
that
everybody be nationalized tomorrow.
Yeah, that name alone would already cause a lot of problems for their agenda.
Yeah, he ain't even gonna make it to the mic with Bay in there.
He's not even gonna make it to the mic.
You talking about son with the afro?
Yeah.
The old head with the afro?
Yeah.
Yeah, he deep, bro. He real deep. He deep.
Yeah,
For
man, they
sure,
not gonna let no.
Mavi did too, y'all. Y'all sleeping on Mavi, man. What's up, man?
Yeah,
Y'all ain't said
they,
nothing about Mavi.
they,
What's up, man?
yeah,
Mafia
they
the
would never.
truth. That's why we all
Yeah,
here.
That's why
Mavi
we
calm
here,
with
because
that shit and
Mafia,
calm
yeah,
with it. You
calm.
feel
He
me?
put
You know
me
what I'm
on
saying?
for sure.
they would
I be
never.
all loud and shit. Mavi be
Yeah,
sharp
but
with that shit and calm. You feel me?
hey,
Yeah, and
but look,
calm, very calm.
they would never let Mafi. They'll never let Mafi get up there with a turban on and spit
Exactly.
his get down. They
Yo,
would. They
I'm
would.
telling you, I walked into my man Case, which is some jive, and they made a continuance. Like the bailiff kept looking at me, went and knocked on the door in the judge room and went in there. And I had a mean mug too. I was looking like the Secret Service, no emotion, bro. They ain't even do the case, bro. They don't want no smoke out here. They ain't used to that out here in VA.
That's what's up, man. I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad to hear that, man. And just keep in mind, man, whenever somebody's a household name and they always on ABC, major, like you say, the Breakfast Club, all these commercial
Yeah,
platforms,
facts.
just
There's something
know
underlying
there's
going
something
on.
underlying going on.
Yeah.
Just know that.
Word. Because
Politicking
they're
with
not
the
going
people. That's why they got you there.
Word. Okay.
With them people, really.
Yep.
And the reason they gave Brother Malcolm so much publicity because they never seen a Moorish man with that type of mind and that type of discipline and that type of knowledge in their life. They was fascinated by him. That's the only reason he got coverage. You know what I'm saying? Because Malcolm was deep too.
Yeah. Yep. Well, but you see, they look at the documentary, The Godfather of Harlem, where the brother, what's his name? Pernell
Yeah,
Whitaker.
Forrest Whitaker.
Forrest Whitaker. He playing basically with Bumpy Johnson.
Bumpy Johnson, yup.
Right
That's
now,
a good show, bro.
You see how they got Malcolm or El Haj Malik Shabazz in there. And,
Yes.
you see the CIA had taps on him, and
Yeah.
they was asking Bumpy Johnson, like, you cool with him? Why is he going out there? What's his position? Like, you know what I mean? Because and you see how
And
they have
that's
the Nation of
crazy.
Islam. Nation of
That's
Islam.
crazy to know that Malcolm was rubbing elbows with such a deeply rooted street dude and still kept his 10 toes on his faith and shit, man. That was deep, bro. Malcolm ain't drink or do none of that stuff they was doing. He still was him. Around, a lot of weak people get around a rich dude like that. They might start getting part of the game, hustling or whatever. You feel me?
Yeah. But you see what they did show. They tell a lot of truth. Once you know like the Moorish perspective and you watch shows like that, you start seeing like, oh, okay, the Nation of Islam, because they flat out showed a Nation of Islam temple with the Masonic symbol on the top, on the top tier.
Yeah.
Which they
Hey,
show
you know. Yeah, I just saw a erudition from a Moor. Check this out, and this blew my head, man. If you Google, let's say Johnny Quest, Haji from Johnny Quest, and look at the image of the character, or you Google Dragonfly Z, Mr. Popo, look and see who
Mr.
that
Popo.
image is. Mr. Popo, take a look at that image.
Or
Google that
Pycon.
image.
Yeah.
Hey, more science is all around you. You can't escape
Nah,
it, man.
nah, Mr. Popo. Don't he
Yeah,
have
look
a
at
fence
Mr.
too?
Popo.
Who the
Google
hell is
Mr.
Mr.
Popo right
Popo?
now.
I don't
click
even
in
know
it.
what the fuck that is.
Hey, he
Oh,
dripped in.
cartoon. Okay, I'm
He
too old.
dripped in. Hey, Google it right now. He dripped in.
I'm
He
looking at it
dripped
right
in.
now, Mr. Popo.
He dripped in the turban.
Oh my God, why he look like our peep? They dirty for hiding him like that. That's dirty as fuck.
Piccolo, all of them, bro. Like
All
And
of
he's
them.
literally untouchable. He's the guardian deity. You can't touch Mr. Popo.
Yeah, you can't touch me. If you type in Haji from Johnny Quest and check out his drip. And then look at Malcolm X when he on his pilgrimage from Mecca and compare the two.
Same thing. And just real quick, because I forgot, it was an aspect that I wanted to elaborate. We're talking about Muslims and people that practice Islam in a modern day way, right?
Yeah, commercial.
Look, the land's original Allah was Alat. So let's look at what Alat is. What is Alat? What is that? Is a pre-Islamic Arabian goddess, back to the matriarch. So before commercial Islam, it was back to honoring the mother still, right? So let's go to a couple images. We got
Haji looks like a fucking Moor. Oh my god. Oh, sorry.
and back and look when I back to this Moorish architecture, right? When I put in Alat, you got images of Moorish architecture and a lot of honoring of mother. Right? Whenever you see a halo that represents the crown chakra being active, FYI. You see a fez on the mother right here. So this is pre-Islamic culture. That's what Allah
Is that the Alat is like the image of like the Virgin Mary? She's like that, right? The representing of the mother force.
Exactly. All right. So any but isn't that opposite to the Muslims of today, how they got their women all covered up, they gotta have their head down. Just like the pimps, that's how the pimps do the hoes, right? You can't look up, you can't, head down. So
control. Yeah.
That's different. That's the subtleties of how the Roman culture is in modern day religion today, whether it be called the Nation of Islam, Muslim, Christian, any modern day religion today you can think of has been contaminated and made patriarchal in how they express it. And it's suppression of mother.
Yeah.
That,
I'd like to ask, what Muslim women have you seen with their hair down? I ain't never seen Muslim women with their hair down.
Well, I'm speaking of the what they call the Middle Eastern community. Yeah, they heavy with that. It's a Lebanese community. Any middle people identify Middle Eastern and they happen to be Muslims. They rocking like that. Matter of fact, they women got more cultural attire than the men. Typically, the men be like in the Gucci, the Arab men. They be in the same stuff, right? You don't even know they got
They
culture.
modern. Yeah, they got modern.
Yeah, I was gonna mention, man, that Muslim is modern or contemporary. Muslim is ancient. That's the difference between the two too. That Muslim is ancient and Muslim is
the word,
contemporary.
right?
Yeah, exactly. Because you got to remember that the fair-skinned Arabs, they just basically came on the scene. Because remember, the ancient Arabs were us.
Yes.
The Carthaginians, the Phoenicians, the Turks, Ethiopians. Anyway, I didn't mean that. I'm just adding on, guys.
Yeah, no, it's all.
I like that.
It needs to soak in because I've had debates with Arab, modern the pale Arab today. They'll ask me questions about my headdress, and I'll be blazing them, bro. Like I say, I don't be hostile. It just be.
He said in a chill way, I'm just gonna destroy.
Put that little finger up on your head like Malcolm and shit.
Yeah.
Well, the feds is da 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 da. You be all calm, they be all angry and shit.
And then I asked them.
That's what I gotta learn. I gotta learn to be calm, man. When somebody start getting on my nerves, I get a little aggressive because I'm a big guy. You know what I'm saying? It comes with the territory.
Yeah. And then the people that are questioning me, they're not even inhabit. You don't even know. They're talking all these questions, but like, what do you represent? You got Gucci on and all this designer clothes on, but you talking about
making somebody else rich, dummy.
Yeah. Why you questioning me on my culture?
Dummy.
I
proudly go. Hey, I proudly go in Walmart and get a pair of jeans now. I don't even care no more. Know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man.
Be right in Burlington, Ross, all the cheap stores.
Yeah, man. So I'm gonna transition to another segment. That brother Benjamin Bay, how you feeling over there, man? Or Benjamin Bay? Okay, he must have been. Anybody want to volunteer to read this section?
What section? I'll read.
All right, so right here, 3 types of men. Start on this side of the page, right here. A careful study.
Okay. The 3 types of men A careful study of the spiritual teachings of advanced cultures will reveal a division of humanity into three groups: the human, the man proper, and God man / woman. The defining principle is the will.
Okay, can I stop you? Can I stop you right there?
Yeah.
Let me stop you right there.
I jumbled around with that one, but go ahead.
Oh, you good. It was just I had stuff kind of queued up. So before,
All right.
So we look at man. Let's look at man. Etymology dictionary. Take it back to its original inception. It just means to think, right?
Yeah, thinking creature.
So man just means to think.
What separates us, our brain, huh?
Right? So that's man. Now you said human. You say human.
Color man.
Let's go to God. Definition of God. And take it back. What does God mean in its original inception?
To invoke.
To invoke. Now, what was the name when you take it back? It's not even called God, right? What was it called?
Gut pie? What does that say?
Pizza.
Sanskrit word huta, right? Invoke, to invoke or to manifest.
Oh, huta. Okay.
So the prefix hu in front of man is what? To invoke thought, right? So human, to be considered human, you're invoking thought. You're in the business of manifesting.
Ah.
Right.
Okay. I see. So they just took that HU.
Yep. Oh, in Taraji Bay, the book is called this book is called 11 Laws of Mayat. 11 Laws of God, Ra, and Nefer Amen.
11 Laws of Mayat.
11 Laws of Mayat.
Which that would go back to the reason why we know of the higher self and the lower self.
Right.
As two different planes of Allah, or the Most High, and then the Shaitan, the devil.
Yeah. You got it. And it's not really like good or bad either. It's just you want to know how low you can go. You want to know, what your impulses do, so you can put it in check,
So does that have any tie as far as like because that's still only dealing with color, and that's what we're getting away from. But the hue, like how do you hue as far as color and man, or is that just that's a connotation?
Yeah, it's connotation. That's why we deal with etymology. You want to go to the origin. So how we know human or hue is to invoke, and man means to think. So human is a compound word. To invoke thought makes you human. I'm gonna work out. I'm gonna go work out tomorrow. But when I actually do it and you see me work out, you can verify it. Take a picture of it. You can't see my thoughts.
Yeah.
You can't see my thoughts, right? So metaphysical to the physical realm are patah, or manifesting. That's what we're in the business of doing.
That's deep. That's cool. And so they have an etymology online. I never thought to go online and look at.
Yep.
I seen you did that in that one you sent me too.
Got his own search engine.
Yeah.
But all right, yeah, you can go ahead. I just wanted to kind of break that down.
Okay. The human is so labeled to denote that it is an earthly being, humus, earth, man, or human. This label denotes the kind of mankind whose will so undeveloped it is asleep, that it is that the earthly parts of being, emotions, and sensuality, the unconscious. I'm sorry, I lost that. The unconscious determines his/her behavior / destiny. In addition, because the will is relatively still asleep, the mental process is dominated by the acceptance of associative thoughts drift actively. The reasoning process is low and incompetent. Belief and faith takes the place of reason and knowledge. How would I pronounce that?
The root word would be passive.
Passivity?
Yeah.
passivity is the hallmark.
So
The
let's stop
second
here.
category is the
Let's-
man proper.
Wait, hold on. Let's stop so we can grasp what we're comprehending here.
Yeah, I don't even know. Or being passive.
Right. So we got the conscious and the unconscious. We have willpower. Right.
Mhm.
We have active versus passive. All right. So what is a driving force to make someone even want to create or right? You got to be motivated. That's the willpower.
Mhm.
That will has to be initiated. And that's back to our ancient customs, the whole point of yoga, meditation, getting yourself to a mind frame of peace. What's going to happen is you're going to have these clairvoyant thoughts,
Mhm.
called genius thoughts or whatnot. Even your breath, your deep breathing exercises,
Mhm.
which causes more blood flow to the brain to have better cognitive abilities. That's why the posture of prayer, like when most Muslims pray 7 times a day, that type of posture, that's a yoga pose. Most modern Muslims are not looking at it like, oh, they're looking at it more just, like you said, a connotative way. I pray multiple times a day, I make this position. But when you ask them, why you make that position? What's the origin of that? Oh, I just do it because I'm honoring Prophet Muhammad. But a Gnostic will go more in depth into the original inception of that posture. That's yoga. That posture delivers more oxygen to your brain, so you can be more cognitive, right? To even activate the Christ or start reaching that level of ascension.
And that's deep because right, like spirit is just breath, right? So
right. Spirit is breath.
Yeah, that's wild that you say that, brother, because I went to the masjid the other night and did some prayer. But I noticed when I was the only one there. It was at the end of the night. And during my prayer, I slowed my breathing down, slowed my rakats down. And when I prostrated and went to pray and saying my prayer and whatever the case may be and praying to the Most High, I had a moment, man, and I burst out in tears. But when I left the masjid, I left with a higher understanding of myself, and I felt taller. You know what I'm saying? But the first thing that resonated was remembering the science or kind of like some teachings that I heard of through yoga and meditation. For some reason, that just connected.
Yep.
Anyways, I just wanted to bring that to the table.
That's loud. That's loud.
I have a question. One of my questions is with dealing with the union, because yoga means union. I'm guessing it means the will and the unconscious mind. So I have done practices myself to try to do it, to unite the will and the unconscious mind together permanently, like a permanent state of will over unconscious mind. But sometimes there's moments where it's easier and there's moments when it's harder. But that doesn't make sense, because shouldn't it be like once you do it, once you unite them, it should be done, right? The process should be over. But I still find like myself and maybe others find themselves, sometimes backsliding or sometimes giving into their lower impulses.
Yeah, that's the whole. That's why it's called a practice. If you're practicing this, that means you're doing it often to get better at not backsliding. You know? That's the whole purpose of having a temple or the brotherhood and the sisterhood, because you got your other brothers and sisters might be a little better or a little more disciplined. So now you can always, come to them and
that extra motivation.
Accountability.
Motivation. Yep. But yeah, so that we got the first. We went through the first. Remember, it's broken down to a couple groups. So we went over the human. So now we're going to the second category is the man proper, right? The will has reached full maturity. It has awakened, and the entity's chief identifying mark is the struggle to impose the will on the emotions and sensuality. So there's levels to this. You're gonna get better, right? to achieve mastery over the emotions, the unconscious. So that's the goal. Islam, I self-law and master. You want to be able to master your impulses, your urges. That's the whole point of fasting. It's Ramadan right now, right? That's the whole purpose of the exercises, is to see what you made of. Because you're supposed to control the car. You're supposed to get in the car, crank it up, go left, right, accelerate, hit the brakes. The car doesn't control you, right? So you're not supposed, the vessel not supposed to be controlling and define your real self, right? The real self is in control of the vessel. If your mind is proper, right? But you know, based on the society, we got to go through the exercises to get to this level, because we're all these things around us makes us want to be low vibrational. The music, the TV, the people, distractions. Back to the temple, back to these think tanks. It's a way to insulate and have a resurgence and breath of fresh air. So when you go back into the people that are low vibrational, you're the magi, you're the high vibrational one. You're the one that's everybody looking at, so magnetic. Like, oh man, let me get pictures with him. What's this about? Oh man, can I talk with you? Like, you know what I mean? So we're the magi's of today, right? Every time frame had a magi or illuminated people or groups of illuminated people. And this is who this is the role we want to play with our brothers, you know. My brother's keeper, right? In the Bible. So in addition, because the will is fully active, the mental process is dominated by reason and knowledge. Back, that's what Gnostic. A Gnostic is using reason and knowledge versus belief, or strictly belief. The third category corresponds to the man that has consummated or started the union between the will and the unconscious, has recovered the original state of unity and peace. Hatep, nirvana, right? Nirvana, Hatep, Ptah, nirvana would be back to activating the Christ, or reaching that peaceful state based on activating the Christ. For example, here there is no struggle because spiritual power has been added to the faculty of the external actions, and wisdom and intuition has been added to reason. The Hindus refer to these three stages as tasmic, rajasic, and sattvic, respectively. The Taoists refer to these three types of man as the inferior man, superior man, and the sage, or the sage, right? So it's levels to this, right? Drawing from the Kemetic cosmology. So Kemetic, that's most people will say like Egyptian, or actually, this is interchangeable. Sometimes it might be Hermetic, sometimes it's Cam. So Ham and Cam, the K and the H, depending on what book is talking about this, it could be Kemetic or Hermetic, which is back to Ham. Cosmology. So if this is Ham cosmology, or if the ancient people, it shows you the ancient people were into cosmology, as above, knowing the heavens, charting the stars, not only to navigate the sea, but to see their own impulses back to the natal chart, right? I have designed them as shaman, abmen, bobmen, according to the division of the spirit they have attained to. Man's goal in life is the same as that of God: enjoyment of life, happiness. He wills as we go, or we will as we go. Through this book, that to realize this goal, man must first realize his or her divinity, become the vehicle of God's consciousness in the world. That's back to the macrocosm, macro and micro, right? We're a reflection, or we're an image of the creator of the stars in the universe. But we're not God. We're not the creators of the stars in the universe, but we are a reflection. It's the only way that man will be able to overcome the many obstacles that life on earth brings. It must be understood that all experiences are leading us to that realization. One thing that we all have in common is the need for knowledge, and the power to carry out life's activities and challenges in the world are of such magnitude that men are compelled to search deep within for sources of a kind of knowledge and power that will keep them to prevail. Those who have found them have labeled them wisdom and spiritual power. And while most people may think that these are providences of gifted men and women, we must understand that what we call wisdom and spiritual power are simply manifestation in man, right? God's omnipotence, becoming a vehicle for the manifestation of God in the world, is not a matter of gifts or grace, but is the result of observing the laws of God. What are the laws of God? Let's begin by making clear that the laws of God bear no resemblance to man's laws, right? So now we're talking about Hermetic principles.
Mm-hmm.
They are not injunctions or commandments to be obeyed, right? They're not like the 10 Commandments. They are not rules, prohibitions, or regulations prescribed to govern the behavior of man. Neither are they conventions that sages have met and agreed upon. They are principles, right? Hermetic principles that explain the nature and interaction of the forces and principles that influence man, his or her thinking, feelings, actions, and destiny. The observance of these principles will enable the individual to live in harmony with these principles and forces, thus gaining access to God's wisdom and spiritual power. All else that is needed or is important in life will follow. They apply to the 11 spheres of spiritual influence operating in man's spirit and the world. So once you have peace with yourself, your magnetism changes. People outside of you feel your aura. The polarity of your aura changes. People either going to be drawn to you or not, right? And you know, it's based on your vibe. Your vibe is based on what you're thinking, your thoughts, right? So I just wanted to share that. And any thoughts on that? Any type of commentary? Okay. So somebody wanted to read this. We'll actually close out with this section right here: how to live within contracts. A volunteer that want to read this section.
I could do it. You said the whole thing or just the top?
Just start from the top.
Okay. How to live within. How to live within contracts. In our everyday life affairs and by way of most social and business activities, we are consciously or unconsciously being subjected by obligations originating from contracts. We are constantly making, constructing, and motivated by contracts. Natural people are being bound by contracts from time to time. Wait, hold up. Natural people are being bound by contracts or held obligatory, liable, or responsible to perform or produce by some way, form of contract from time to time. And so we recognize that contracts may be social, personal, or national. In many instances, the operative nature and the obligatory enforcement of a contract, real or assumed, may affect any one of us in one way or another. The effects of a specific contract may be positive or negative in character, and the outcomes and effects of the interrelational obligations established due to these contracts may be beneficial or injurious, positive or negative. Therefore, we should have a conscious knowledge and awareness of fundamental contract law and know of the characteristics and conditions necessarily and needed for determining their validity or invalidity. And so we extend these questions to the pertinent issues placed before you. What is a contract? What makes a contract valid, binding, and lawful? What makes a contract invalid, void, and unlawful? Okay, hold on. Too often, the nature and the required essence of contracts have not been properly taken into thoughtful consideration by many natural people. Furthermore, the lawful conditions that must exist for a contract to be deemed valid and the proper legitimate construction of the same have not been taught to the people by those corporate state agents or agencies, governments and schools, etc. Many people holding seats of authority have colorably abused natural people and have economically benefited from enforcing invalid and void contracts at the peril of the misinformed. These opportunities prey upon contractual ignorance, groomed among the masses is ignorance which they have perpetuated for reasons of affecting constructive fraud, theft, arbitrary racketeering, legal abuse, personal gain, and for the deviant forms of deception, malfeasance, misrepresentation, and misimprison. Some persons selling uniform commercial code instruments, the UCC, or presenting other jurisdictional arguments and made on behalf of the corporate states. There are those who have implied that the natural people are deeply indebted to the corporate states because they have contracts that bind them to perpetual debt or servitude, etc. Some of those alleged binding contracts are marriage certificates, birth certificates, social security cards, and driver's license. I recognize that the ministerial judges, the magistrates, the prosecutors, policemen, and the like have colorably assumed jurisdiction over the natural people by way of such instruments. However, respectfully submit this caveat. If the implied debt lawfully exists, then the said contract must be lawful in their construction and in their original presentment. They too must be produced as evidence of alleged debt and be measured by the laws that govern contracts. The unfortunate social and political reality is that corrupt politicians have undermined the United States Republic of North America. They have been robbing the natural originals of the land who have been subverted by organized political racketeers. The operative demo governments of foreign law have been violating and usurping the Constitution and trampling on the unalienable rights of the people. They are boldly functioning under a color of authority through a foreign body politic at all levels: federal, state, city, town, and municipal governments. The usurping body politic, criminals and usurpers, blatantly refer to themselves as the U.S. democracy. Damn. Yet they are bound by official oath to support and defend the Constitution for the United States of America, which is by law a Republican form of government. The Constitution and their oaths are contracts, and as for the alleged democracy form of government claimed by some of them, one body politic is constitutional and the other is not. By what contractual validity measurements are these facts or rulings determined? Okay.
Yeah, Mafia, this is Larry Bay, man. Remember last week we had a conversation about this, and it brings from my memory about the contract issues like a voter registration, driver's licenses, marriage certificates, which is actually secular contracts. They need to have a rescission of signature done on them. See, nationalizing is one thing. You nationalize, you get your name, your free national name and so forth back. However, if you still have that ball and chain connected to you in the form of those invisible contracts, then you're still part of their system. So what I did personally was just escape from all those contracts by just doing a rescission of signature on everything. You know what I'm saying? Voter registration, car registration, everything. So therefore, they can't assume jurisdiction at any point. That's how they get jurisdiction. They go right into their files. Okay, let's see. Jane Doe, does she have a driver's license? Does she have a voter registration? Does she have an address on file? What does she have? Oh, she has this. Okay, send her this ticket in the mail then. And this is how we get trapped up, because we still connected to the system indirectly.
I have a question though. How do you move around in a modern world with like out of driver's license, out of birth certificate, Like
Right.
these things are like very like, fundamental to being an adult and like, dealing with like normal
Well,
reality.
okay, so for example, I just used my national ID card, and I calmly asked them, "Hey, do you uphold the United States Constitution? Are you aware of federal law?" And they would say yes, or they'd say I'm privy to it. Okay, well, under criminal resource manual 1508, national ID cards have a superiority effect over these commonly preferred uses of IDs. And then I present that to them, and I put the ball in their court. Now they have to tell me or disqualify my ID, which they can't do it. They can't do it. And if anyone, for example, the DMV is an association. They're a corporation. They're an NGO. And if any officer, any judge is compelling you to join an association, that's human trafficking. Just look under the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights. They can't get around that. That's Article 20. Just read that out there. Just put that out there to them.
Okay,
20.
okay. Let me just wrap my head around this. So basically, everybody is indirectly enslaved through contracts.
That's what it is. See, you got to understand, slavery
Mm-hmm.
never ended. Slavery never ended. It's just more polished. It's more polished, vile, and sophisticated. It's in the form of
jurisdiction means that you have the ability, to pull in and out. Like they could take your stuff, they could imprison you, they could do all these things to you. And it's only through contract, and you give your consent through signature.
Yeah, that's it. That's how they get you. Do a contract. That's what the whole 13th Amendment was all about. They knew they couldn't do it involuntarily. They couldn't make slavery involuntarily. So what they did is made it you have to volunteer yourself. So
that's
now
right.
you do it through the form of contracts. So they replaced the shackles and chains around your feet and ankles with paper contracts. This is why everybody is putting a contract in front of you. But you got to know how to sign your name within the contract. You sign your name by Jane Doe, and then you write the words non-assumpsit, meaning no contract. So now you didn't voluntarily, intentionally, or what's the other word I'm missing? Voluntarily, intentionally enter into a contract.
Involuntary.
So now, yeah, there you go. Because what's going to happen? They have so many. It's non-disclosure. In fact, those contracts is void ab initio. For example, your birth certificate is void ab initio. They denationalized you. They got a corporate seal on it. Your name is in all capital letters, which under law capitis diminutio maximum, meaning the maximum loss of status. They have all that on there. That's prima facie evidence.
That's
They
you like
fraud
citizen, right?
So you're telling me this. I know this is a lot. This is kind of a lot to take in, but you're basically telling me the unawareness of my mother during my birth signed away my national.
Your mother's an informant. She's an informant. Look on there. She's an informant. If you read the Trading with the Enemy Act under Section 4307, it tells you right then and there that about an informant. She's an informant. She's turning you over to the U.S. corporation.
That's right. You're correct. I mean, look at it like this, bro. Like, okay, your job. Look at your job. Okay, you got 24. They say you got 24 hours in a day, right? Usually, when you work a job like me, I'm in the maritime industry. You're usually there 8 to 10 hours, maybe 12. Okay, you know what I'm saying? You got how many hours left after you get off work? Boom, you factor that in. Then you get home. You have pets, you got to take care of them. You got children, you got to take care of them. Make sure you get your homework done. Make sure this and that. You got to cook the food. You understand? So by the time you get some time for yourself, what you got left? You got nothing but about an hour or two, and then you got to go to bed and go back to work. It's slavery, bro. It's modern day slavery.
Look, you can kill that birth certificate. All you need to do is send it to, let's say, send a copy of the birth certificate along with one of the proclamations from one of the mayors of one of the 7 cities, Chicago, Atlanta, Charlotte. Send that and send it in and tell them this is fraud. You denationalized me by writing me in as a Negro.
Okay,
You
okay,
wrote
okay.
me in as a Negro,
Can you
but the
say that
proclamation.
again so I can write this down, please? You said
Okay,
birth
so
certificate.
He's
okay,
excited,
so
just like I was when I first started here. This shit, he's excited. You gotta calm down, young brother, and just take a breath. I know it's a
Because
lot.
I'm
I was
nervous.
the same
That
way.
means my mom
hey,
basically signed me
they're
away to the corporation.
You didn't
they're
know,
not
brother,
going.
just like you
And
didn't know.
I'm thinking
They're
about all
not.
the contracts that I've involuntary. Every time I sign my
Everything.
name, every time I put my even my driver's license.
Yes, sir. Correct. When you do everything in the Corporation of America, what the hell they ask you for first? That's social. You already paid the motherfucker already. But we'll
Okay,
get to that, bro. Just take your time, take a
I don't.
breath, and just write down everything you want to resource. So when we're not around each other, you can do your little study and do your little looking up. That's what I did. Because I told everybody, I asked them, I'm like, damn, this is a lot. But,
You know
as
what?
time went on,
So I asked my job before about the W-4, for example, because it's a contract. I asked them, I said, okay, is this a contract or an application? Because if it's an application, what am I signing up for? If it's a contract, what's the terms and conditions? And what's in it for you and what's in it for me? Man, they sat back in that chair like, man, like now, who's in here going to explain this?
word,
You
don't
guys are
Nobody.
nobody
telling me
know.
to fill out
No
this
one.
W-4. No
Nobody.
one.
Don't nobody know. Everybody that know is like the 1%. They know. You know what I'm saying?
This
When you
is
go in the
1%
store,
because
like
literally
when I go in the
everything in my
store, I still gotta use my regular shit because I pull out my national and they looking at me like, what the fuck is that? You make that at home? No. Boom, boom. When I start breaking down the science and they still looking at me like, I ain't never heard that. You know, you probably got some,
Well,
you
that's their,
know,
but that's their ignorance. That's their ignorance. You can't.
yes,
You
yes, you're
can't. You
right.
can't. You can't vow. You can. You gotta. You know what? At that time, you gotta play to their level. So therefore, I got two sets of vocabularies. One vocabulary I deal with the public. The other
And one
vocabulary,
vocabulary.
I'm gonna get a little hood with you. I'm gonna get a
Word,
little hood with you. You get what I'm saying?
word.
So I'm gonna switch it up with you, and I'm gonna come down to your level, and we're gonna talk the yin yang right there, and get you to understand. You know what I'm saying? That this is my national ID card, and I'm absolutely I'm absolutely in honor of my foremothers and forefathers, and that driver's license is a corporate. It's a corporate instrument.
Yes, it is.
So that serves
But like when you in Walmart and you got like 50 people behind you and you trying to explain to this dumb deaf and blind person in front of you, like, yo, boom, 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 boom.
kidding me? He says the
You know what I'm
driver's
saying?
But you know what?
Like I just went through that. Like I told y'all, I was in Walmart and I had a bottle of wine with my stuff. And you know what I'm saying? She asked for my ID. I pulled my national out. And she looked at the national, looked at me. She was like, what is this? And then I got to kicking the knowledge to her, and she still didn't understand it. The people was huffing and puffing behind me and stuff. So I just went ahead and pulled my driver's license out and paid for my stuff. You know what I'm saying?
I would have told her to take the next person and let me speak to your manager. Let me speak to your manager. Let me have a word with your manager.
And most of the managers, they dumb, deaf, and blind too. I mean, I'm being honest with you. I ain't shutting down what you're saying. You absolutely right, 150%. But I'm just giving you those scenarios when you bump into a cashier who don't know what the hell going on. And you know what I'm saying? You press for time. Like you may be getting ready to go somewhere, or you got people behind you in line. They like, damn, I'm just trying to get my gas. Stuff like that, man. That's what I be going through.
Well,
so that's the only reason I still pull out.
I have a question. So a national ID card is the true document that states what nation you're part of, and the birth certificate, driver's license,
nationality. Yes, sir. You're correct.
Look, the driver license, it doesn't have your national origin. It doesn't have. It has your name in the wrong. The phonicism of the name is incorrect. It's in all capital letters. That's grammatical fraud and constructive error.
Can one of you show us what that looks like? I've never seen one.
Look at your driver's license. Look at the mail that comes to your house. Everything is in all capital letters.
Correct.
They can't deal. They cannot talk to you. Look, research this case law. Rundle versus Delaware. where the Supreme Court held that corporations can't interact with live human beings. That's the reason why they got to talk to you as a corporation. This is the
That's
reason why
right.
they
That's a business, all capital letters. You're correct.
What's the case called again?
Rondo versus Delaware.
Delaware.
Rondo versus Delaware.
Rondo versus Delaware. That's
Rondo.
RUNDELL versus Delaware. Who live in Delaware? Someone lives in Delaware on this call, right? Or Virginia, one of those places.
I'm in VA, bro. I'm in VA, and there's a couple other.
Man,
It's a couple. It's a husband and a wife that's from Richmond too that I'm in contact with every now and then. And then Lavelle Bay is out here too.
man, I didn't know, man, that Delaware, the first state in the union, right, is the first state. But Delaware is Delaware is named after a tribal, Aboriginal tribe called the Delawareans. I didn't know that. And that blew my mind why Delaware was the first state and why in the preamble, we the people stands for Lenape, which is the Delawareans.
Wow.
That blew my head off when I read that. I was like, what?
So that's why they ain't got no taxes in Delaware. Okay.
Man, that's why Delaware, the Secretary of State in Delaware, is essentially the most powerful man in the U.S. because Delaware holds a lot of weight. It's a small state, but it holds a lot of weight. Why? Because of its the name association to the Aboriginal tribe there, the Delawarean. That blew my head when I read that.
I just want to say I appreciate you guys telling me this because I'm looking at my driver's license right now and the shit is in all caps.
Yeah. Yes, you are business. You are paying the fucking government's debt with the international banks is what you're doing.
Exactly.
The banks ain't giving you money. That's your fucking money.
So when you nationalize, that's why I was saying you got to remove yourself from the corporation. You get what I'm saying? Because you have what
that's why we pushing start your own business so you don't have to deal with them and it'd be like you had two different identities. We ain't trying to do that. That's why Mafia said take it low and slow because you got to know every fucking detail when you go against these people. Every piece, like you know what I'm saying. When my man be telling you, he telling you real shit. I haven't had a brush in with the police yet.
You saved me from a lifetime of slavery without even realizing it.
Hey man, now what you need to do, each one teach one. Go in your hood and start spitting that shit that you hearing. Let's build a nation. That's what we trying to do. Elijah Muhammad did it. Why the fuck can't we? Excuse my language, but I'm a little passionate with my
your delivery. I understand.
Peace and love, Islam.
So creating a business would be essentially creating your own straw man to play this game that they got us in, pretty much.
So look. This is what you can do. You take your straw man name, and you create a business out of it. You create a DBA out of your straw man. Now you can still do business in the public using your straw man, but your straw man is the actual business. And when you apply for credit, you're no longer building personal credit. You're now building business credit. You no longer owe a tax because now everything you earn is business income. You get what I'm saying?
Right at all.
Because that name isn't associated with us no more. We have our national.
Right? I'm gonna drop one more jewel on you. Go to the state of Minnesota. And you're gonna do a DBA with the state of Minnesota. The business is gonna be your all word capital letter name. And then the address is going to be where they created that madness. That's the address of the hospital where you were born. And then the name holder is going to be your free national name. Now you do that. Then you have Minnesota authenticated. When it comes back in the mail, you're going to then mail it to yourself. Now it's under the UPU. Now when you get let somebody give you some smoke. And when they try to give you a ticket, you like, hey man, you wrote a ticket against this business. And now you put it up in front of them as an authentication. And remember, under Article 4, Section 1, any public act, any judicial proceeding, any recordations, it has full faith and credit. So I can use this in any of the 50 states. and nobody can give me smoke because Steve Simon, the Secretary of State, put his seal on it back in 2016. So nobody can say nada.
Oh my God, you gave me the key to freedom.
He's the key, yeah.
But you
I'm gonna do
still,
my
you got a
research.
long way to go, brother. You got a
Yeah, I have a
long
lot of
way to
research.
go.
I have a lot of research to do. A lot of
A
research.
long way to go. And look at it like this. Everything we've been taught in school is ass backwards, man.
It's basically a lie on most.
Word. Everything. You know,
I
and
knew a
that's
lot of
why we
stuff was
sign in
lies,
red.
but
We sign in red because you the live living person. The black ink means you ain't nothing. You dead. The blue ink means corporate. That's why when you sign everything, they want you to sign in blue or black ink. They don't want you to sign in no other ink. When I'm at work, I sign that time sheet, I say doing business as, and I put my surname up there in red. That's what I do.
That's why they hate thumbprints. That's why they hate thumbprints, and they hate when you put a stamp in the upper right-hand corner. They hate that because that's de jure, and they're not rocking by de jure methods. They're going by unorthodox commercial tactics against you. So they're not operating under the republic. They're operating under the democracy. They hate it because now you're interjecting or invoking international law against them.
What's the stamp speaking of?
They hate it when you send mail. They hate it when you send mail by registered mail, certified mail, and it has stamps on it. It has your thumbprint and all that, and the state is spelled out completely, not abbreviated. The zip code is in brackets. They hate that because now they got to deal with you as flesh and blood.
Islam, Brother Larry.
Yes, sir.
This is Brother Kabaka. I was listening to you explain to the other brother about the birth certificate, and you didn't finish and follow through about where to mail the birth certificate. I would like to get the rest of that information.
No, I was just basically, okay. So, for example, now look, man, I'm just gonna put this out there. This is all trial and error on because I just sat back and I did some critical thinking, and I looked at the birth certificate, and I saw on the birth certificate they had my mother, and they had me as a bastard child. You know why? Because my parents was married through a marriage certificate of the state. The marriage certificate is a secular contract involving you, your mother, your father, and then the state as the principal. And anything that comes between that marriage is actually raising fruit to the state. So you, property, anything, cars, anything that comes into that marriage is actually fruits earned to the state. Okay. So under that, so when I looked at the birth certificate, one, it denationalizes me. They call me a Negro. Well, we all know we're Moors, and Negro is a misnomer. Okay, so then you look at the bottom of the birth certificate, they put their corporate seal on it. The state of California, I have their EIN number. I have their Duns and Bradstreet number.
Okay. EIN number for the state of California? Wait, that's crazy. Wait, what? Wait.
Yes. I had their EIN number. I had their Duns and Bradstreet number for the county of Los Angeles. I have it for the state of California, their Duns and Bradstreet number. So I got them cased in where they can't respond. They only can acquiesce and like Bean said on state property, either get down or get laid down. Because I got you pinned down at this moment. Now, you know what I'm saying? I have so much substantial evidence against the fraud. And then what I add in there was House Resolution 1203 from Georgia. I add that in there, put that on oath. I add a copy of the birth certificate, send that in. And like, hey, this is all fraud. This is void
But what about your long form certificate of live birth, Larry Bay? What about that? Ain't that a different document? Don't that show that you a live living person instead of the fucking copies they give you?
Okay, so there's two forms of the birth certificate. The legit original form is called the birth record. The birth record is when you committed your first commercial act by putting your footprint in red ink on the paper. Okay, so that's when you was a baby. You ain't never to see that document again. Then what they do is they create what is called a certificate of live birth.
That's what it's called.
Yeah, a certificate of live birth. Anything, everything, all these certificates out here, certificate of live birth, certificate of the deed, the deed of trust, all
What
this
about the
stuff,
marriage
man.
certificate? The marriage.
The
How
marriage
you go about
license,
that?
certificate of marriage. Well, what you can do is, look, me and Mafi solved that. He helped me solve that. Okay, so what you do is, if you're currently married, you can revoke it. You can send it back to the state where you got married and do a rescission of signature and point out the fraud, and then let them know that you nationalized. Okay, and then you create a trust under Article 1, Section 10 of the U.S. Constitution that states that no state shall impair the obligations of a contract. So you and your loved one sign the deed of trust, okay, or the declaration of trust. You both sign that, okay? So now you have a marriage within the trust, and now if anybody wars against you, they're committing treason because they're violating Section 1, Article 1, Section 10 of the U.S. Constitution. And all the other 50 states, their constitution mirrors the federal constitution as well. So now they're committing treason on two levels, on the federal and on the state level. Because every constitution has to mirror the federal constitution.
So I think
Law. Thank you for that, brother.
so for
No doubt. Appreciate that, Larry.
brother
Thank you
Brian,
so
Oh
much.
man,
You don't know how grateful I am
man, all
for
I do,
everybody
man,
sharing.
all I do is read, man. My significant, man, she tells me, you love them books more than you love me now. I told her, I said, I gotta get right out here. I gotta get right mentally. You know what I'm saying?
let's
No
brother
doubt.
Led,
No doubt.
let's finish. Let's get through this contract piece because a lot of the questions from Brian, they're gonna be answered right here.
Okay.
You're gonna see like once you know contract law 101, a lot of stuff gets exposed. So the birth certificate, if you want to call it the certificate of live birth, both of those are fraudulent instruments. Why? Because a minor can't enter into a contract. So it doesn't matter if it's called the certificate of live birth or nothing like that. It's not binding. It's not a binding contract because you were unconscious. They can't hold you that. And also look up the Baby Act. Just look up the Baby Act as well. It's going to show you. Basically, it's a creature of contract law 101. So you want to just kind of finish where we left off? We'll just finish off on
Yeah,
this last
I'll
page.
finish it up.
Yeah.
Contract is derived from the Old Morris Latin word contriere, and contriere means to draw, to agree upon, to establish by agreement, to enter upon, and to undertake mutually. Contracts are essentially manifest, written, or oral agreements or covenants that are mutually entered into by two or more parties, involving or bringing the said parties into conditional obligations which are enforceable by law. Contracts may be classified in accord with the nature and elements that initiated their construction. A contract is thusly a promissory note, a covenant made between the identified and the competent parties that creates, modifies, or destroy a legal relation and upon sufficient and non-vague considerations, which demand of a party to the contract to do or perform or not to do or perform a particular thing. Upon the promise or obligations created by a contract, one side assents to the other. This is why consciousness of the nature and the essence of contracts are necessary elements of everyday living and demonstrative of why we must all be diligent in our social, personal, and national affairs. Thus, we must be aware that a valid and lawful contract must demonstrate the following.
So everything you're about to read constitutes a valid contract.
Okay. Okay. A contract must show its preliminary making and construction, the clear and substantive offer made by one party, and demonstrate the mutual acceptance affirmed by the other party. A contract must be producible and exist in evidence upon demand made by either party to the contract, which in itself may be question, dispute, or controversy. C. A contract must be produced in manifest writing, evidence, and contain in details of the agreements, debts, or promises, with all the terms, the obligations, and conditions which clearly show and serve as proof that a valid and enforceable obligation, promise, or debt exists. D. A contract must be deliberate and conscious agreement made between competent parties. E. A party to a contract cannot be a minor. F. A contract must be entered into by free will. G. A contract must not be created under threat, duress, or coercion, lest it be void in law. H. A contract must be substantive and germane to the subject matter. I. A contract must be of a legal consideration, cannot be based on unlawful consideration. J. A contract must possess mutuality of agreement and mutuality of obligation. K. A contract must not be vague, unclear, or uncertain, nor can it contain terms or conditions that are not ascertainable. L. A contract must show valid signatures of the party to the contract instrument in order to verify its validity in law. Note, if a contract fails to satisfy the laws that govern its making or construction, then a contract is void, ab initio, and considered dead in the view of the law.
Right. All right, Islam, brother. So whoever doesn't know what consideration, something of value must be offered to make it a contract. A minor cannot enter into the contract. So not only an infant, but a minority, like we read over minority in the orientation session, people were classified as minorities. Can't even contract. So once you become of age or declare your nationality and become competent in jurisprudence, your position is the contract was unlawful, so therefore it is no contract. Right? What are other elements? Free will. Also, a couple other things. It can't be three people involved in the contract, but only one signature at the end. All parties in the contract must sign with wet ink signatures. So once you get competent in contract law, you're going to see how where the fraud takes place. And a lot of these contracts that the corporate state puts on our people, you can undo them just by competence. In open court, etc. Right? I think we can stop right here. Any questions on that? Any statements? I think that'd be a good place to stop for today's session.
I have one last question. What would be the first book? I know you told me Black Law's Dictionary, but it only goes through legal terms. What would be a good book or get some knowledge so I can have some prudence in this matter?
Oh, contract law for dummies. Contract 101 for dummies.
Yeah, that's an excellent resource right there. I agree with that. There's also a book by his name is Brian Bloom. It's called I forgot the name of it. I got the book. I haven't read it in a while, but it goes pretty extensive into the natures of contracts. But see, Mafi said something that that grabbed my attention, thinking about the DMV once again. Remember, when you go in and sign that driver's license, you're the only one signing the contract. And then if they're not accepting your national ID card, once again, that's threat, duress, and coercion. You're telling me in order to have a service or a benefit, I must have your corporate identification. That's
coercion, yes.
Trafficking. Period. That's called coercion.
So that's what I could tell them if they come with that bullshit when I go to DMV. Thank you for that, bro.
It's coercion, man.
Coercion. Okay.
Coercion.
And then my last question too. I said last question 2 times, but the last question is where I get my fez at. Where do I pay for that and get my gear? I need my cultural gear instead of this
Where you
bullshit.
at? What municipality you in?
I mean, I live in California.
No, I mean, what city? What quote
Oh,
unquote?
Long Beach. He said Principality. Is that what they're called?
I said municipality.
Yeah, that Marvin, don't say nothing else. That boy gonna ask about
No, it's all good. No, but you close to me, so I'm gonna text you some spots that you can. There's some spots in Anaheim that you can go to, for the garb, and then I'll send you a link on how to order affairs and things like that too.
I need my cultural gear.
Yeah, man. But basically, it's a spot called Islamic Fashion over there in Brookhurst. It's in Anaheim, probably about 15, 20 minutes from Long Beach. And then I'll like I said, I'll text you the link to order affairs and stuff like that too. Yep. And what about the other brother? I think. How y'all doing over there, Taraji and your consort? How y'all doing over there? I got any more thoughts, questions?
We're fine. I need to talk with you after the meeting, though, Mafia.
Okay. Alrighty.
I had a question real quick, Mafia, just in regards to what you said. One of the ones you said, it was they need to be a wet signature. So does that apply to like what they're doing now with all these like quick signature, like scan signatures and stuff? Does that void a contract as well? But we just don't know that?
Yeah, it's a violation of contract law.
It's a violation of contract. Okay.
Wet ink signature.
Wet ink for sure.
Yeah, that's imperative. That's why they don't want you signing in red, man. That's why they don't want you signing in red. Red signifies life, man.
Like the blood.
And also be careful of this too. This reminds me of Brian Bloom's contracts. When you online first say and you click the terms and conditions, you just agree to the contract. Those are called adhesive contracts because it's a take it or leave it type of contract. You see them all the time online. And that falls under the Title 15 USC, where when you just this is the reason why they don't teach signatures in school any longer, because they know people are getting smarter about how to reserve their rights in contracts. So now they're saying, okay, we're not going to teach the children how to write any longer, since we're now all using computers. Just have them click their name, yes or no, and now it's a contract. Now they don't have to bring in a wet ink signature 2 or 3 years from later.
Right.
They could just bring in a copy of you clicking yes on the computer and use that against you.
So one more. Sorry.
If I can't sign my name, I'm not dealing with it.
Brother Larry Bay. So you're saying that there is still a way to go about utilizing what I'm trying to get from the contract and signing it that way, or just don't sign it at all?
Every time you sign your name, get in the practice of reserving your rights, man. I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's a receipt from scanning your debit card, from anything someone placed in front of you. I'll always reserve my rights, because the element of an adhesion contract is always at play. They're not giving you full disclosure. And so when you sign your name just bare, that's called signing naked. That's called a naked signing when you don't reserve your rights.
Okay. Damn. I need to study this.
I'm just thinking about everything I signed in my little 24 years of living with no.
Yeah, man, that's the game, man. And now they're getting the kids even better because they're not teaching them handwriting. So now the kids are just on the computer. This is why they always say, "Oh, well, I'd rather use it. I don't want to sign my name. Just here, let me just punch this button," not knowing that they're agreeing to a contract, and so forth. And they're not hip to a contract game. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yep. Any other thoughts before we close out here?
No, that's it for me. I'm overloaded.
I hope everybody been taking notes, man, because you ain't gonna get it all in one day for the new brothers and sisters. Just know it's a lifestyle. And you'll get there. We all gonna get there. But just any gray area that you have, just make them not gray no more. Then you're gonna have some more gray areas. You're gonna make those not gray no more. You're gonna be we're gonna be a student for life anyway. It's not.
Yeah, exactly.
You know.
Right, that's true.
All right.
Well said.
I'm gonna do one more round for questions, thoughts, statements before we close out in prayer here. And the Empress Non-L said, "Peace and love to everybody." It's her father's birthday today, so that's why she.
Happy birthday.
Peace and love.
Peace and love. All right. 5 on the right, 2 on the left. Allah, the Father of the universe, the Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector, my guide, my salvation, by night and by day, through his holy prophet, Noble Jew Ali. Amen. Islam. So, we official meeting is over.